because every time it's my image, you know, I'm fly, so it's just everything is like you get your hair cut Friday night, I'm finna go to the club, or I gotta go to a wedding, or I gotta go to a graduation, or I'm going to my job. Yo, as a man, as a black man, your lining, your haircut means so much. So then I'm sitting in the mirror at the hotel and I grab and I remember, oh snap, I have a barber skill set and an art skill set. And I start cutting because one of my homegirls like, they can need a lining. Cause it just looks really. It's still lined up. Yeah. It's still lined up. And I was like, I ain't finna get no lining. I got $9 billion to have a lining. I don't need no lining. so then I cut it a different way, and the name of my basketball team is the Doves, the Donda Doves. So I started to cut it like a dove. So this is actually 3 doves cutting my hair. And what I like is the patch will grow back and it starts to make these layers. And I said, you know, I'm an artist, like a process artist. And I like to let people in on the process, like what we did with the rollout. So when you see the hair, it's like you see the process of the haircut. You don't see the process. It's like a representation of my thoughts developing because of how close it is to my, you know, to my head. Right. And then the whole thing is it gotta look hot, you know, at the end of the day. Like it's
What you doing up, Jay? Why everybody up?
Yo, Jay, what's good, bro?
I just looked at the calendar. It says end of daylight savings time.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't think about it.
Yeah, we were fucked up. We got up just now, and it's like our phones are saying one time, but the clocks in the house are saying a different time. I'm like, yo, what the fuck time is it?
Babe, we've been trying to hand you this cover.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. I got a bunch of likes overnight for our reels and stuff.
That's great. I know it's so funny to see certain ones just keep going.
Mm-hmm.
This is gonna be a good one. She is pretty.
Don't let that heat out, babe.
Sorry, I'm going on stuff.
And shit, bro, just up. You know what I'm saying? Up early, might as well come in the studio and be fucking productive and get some shit done. Have a cup of coffee in the doobie. That's why I'm up. I'm like, why does it feel later than it is? It's like, daylight savings, motherfucker. Yo, you been on my Instagram, yo? I had a show the other day. A pretty good show. It turned out nice, too. So I'm going to try to get away with re-rolling a doobie. Instead of, I got a little bit of bud up here, but these doobies be some of the best ones. These doobies be some of the best ones. I'm gonna repackage these and see what we get. Cause there's something in there and there's something. There's a little something in here. Yo, it feels a little weird, like, I don't know, I worked so hard on those last paintings I did, and now they're out the house, and I don't like that. I mean, I want everybody else to see them and, like, enjoy it as well, but it's like, damn. I worked all that hard time, and now I can't see my art whenever I want to. I gotta go somewhere else to look at that shit. Well, I don't mind. It's only for a month. A lot of people criticize my prices. Had 2 people say something snarky about my prices. Like this one other artist, he was like, "Oh, I can't wait till I can charge that much for my work." Well, you can, bro. You can charge that much for your work right now if you want to. If you feel like your work is that valuable, you can charge whatever you want for your own artwork. I was like, yeah, I get it. And then this other guy, he seemed pretty cool, but he was just like, "Oh, I love this painting. I love this painting. It's a little bit out of my price range, though. Man, that's a really good piece. But it's so expensive." I'm like, bro, it's not expensive. It's either you can afford it or you can't. Yeah. I'm pretty sure a motherfucker who buys a Bentley doesn't be like, "Oh, this car is so expensive." No, you got the money to buy it, you just buy the shit. Get that, because that's what you want. If you don't got the money to buy it, it's not expensive. It's just out of your price range. But last night, all my shit, like, all my art, period, yo. I don't motherfucking, I can't charge like $2,000 no more. Like, I put so much time and energy into my shit, man. I'll be needing like 5-6 stacks for a painting. Nah, you ain't bugging, bro. That shit good for some people. That shit ain't good for some people. Me and my girl just watched a little story the other day. Some chick didn't get a job because the people she was trying to work for looked at her social media and she had tattoos and a tan, and they were like all dissing her and shit and didn't hire her because they trolled her fucking social media. It's It's really weird, yo. So I totally understand people who don't use that shit, yeah.
Or at least use a different name. Should have.
And that's why I try to be like professional with my art pages, and then I have my personal page, and I'm very selective of who I let on there. Now I am. For years, he's just like, oh, you have a friend request, I'll accept everybody. I don't give a fuck. Now it's like I delete people off of my social media purposely, and I really restrict who I let on there. Cause you're not gonna go through my social media history and be like, oh, in 2016 he posted something about trans women aren't men. I mean, trans men aren't women or something. I can't have that guy working here. Like, nah, I'm good. That shit is a tool. I try to use it as a tool to network and spread some of my ideas, but mostly just spread my art. So, and people who don't have it, and I don't think that's bugging or weird or nothing. Like, that shit is, for some people, it's just an extra layer of stress that they don't even fucking need, yeah.
But a lot of people like this picture of you too.
And I don't think it's it's a good picture, but my eyes, like, you can just see I'm so fucking high in
I
that
thought
shit.
it's a great picture. I mean, I sent you like.
I mean, that's why I posted it.
Babe, every time I take pictures of you, what do you say? You still taking pictures?
Yeah.
And then once I send them all to you, you're like, where's that other picture? But no, your outfit was nice, and then your two newest pieces.
That's why I don't have it. Like 3 interviews I went on.
This is not a good picture. I don't care though.
I like it.
I don't think it's a good picture. I don't care. You look you look high in this one.
I look high in all the pictures. I was high as shit that night.
Yeah, this one you did where you did the wrong one. I sent you 3 of them, and there was one where both of your eyes were open, and you did this one. It's all good. Really good photos.
You don't have social media? No, I don't have social media. But why? Because I choose not to. But why? Oh, social media is just not my thing. But why? Why don't you have it? Like, everyone has social media. Why don't you have you don't have a TikTok? You don't have a Twitter? At least a Twitter? 258 characters? No? You don't have a Twitter? A Twitter? No? Why? You're kind of weird if you don't have social media. That's really weird. Y'all put no new no new weed in here. This is all. So this is this is a second generation doobie. You ever heard the story of the seventh generation doobie? You gotta smoke so many fucking joints to get to that shit. First you gotta have like regular joints. Then you gotta have enough joints to make a bunch of second generation doobies. Then you gotta have a bunch of second generation doobies to make third generation doobies. But how do you get so far that it's like 7 generations of doobies that smoke and re-roll? Yeah, for business purposes, it's a tool, man. It's a tool just like a car or a hammer. You use that shit, motherfucker, benefit you, yo. What's up, man?
No, you stay up here. You can stay up here. I'll be right back.
We ain't got no internet connection on the laptop right now. What the hell is going on?
I've got my essay written, and I've been working on it for about a week. So now I'm going to show you how I use Grammarly to edit. Okay, so here's my essay, and I'm going to click through Grammarly suggestions in the right panel. Your sentence may be unclear or hard to follow. Consider rephrasing. That's true. This is much better. You know, I didn't know my writing contained so many run-on sentences until I started using Grammarly. Okay, this paragraph may be too long. Consider starting a new one here. It is too long. And that is the perfect spot to break it up. Let's add a comma here. You know, affect and effect always get me. Okay, so now we're done editing, and now it's time to check for plagiarism. And looks like I forgot to add a citation here. It's good looking out. Grammarly gives...
It's not that one. Yo, Firefox, what up, bro? Appreciate it, man. Yo, my art show turned out pretty good. Yo, what up? Yo, y'all boys up early? So I did the little art show, and then me and my homies painted this fucking bus up, yo. I put my little octopus on that shit, yo. Yeah, the homies, we always out here. Just paint whatever we wanted on the bus. So I did 2 dope ass shits yesterday, yo. We did the little bus bomb. We did that shit yesterday, like at like 1 o'clock, and then not yesterday, but Friday. Friday afternoon we was painting the bus, and then Friday evening I switched up and did the fucking art show. Like I say, shit was fucking a dope ass day, yo. Here's a rip. The shit I'm working on now. I teach, I do like some projects with kids sometimes, yo. Not like a legit art teacher, but with the bus project we did, yo, 3 of the artists were art teachers. One dude, my really good friend, yo, he was an elementary school art teacher. Now he teaches high school art. And the other 2 artists, these 2 young ladies, they're both elementary school art teachers. So I know a lot of art teachers. I'm not an art teacher myself, but the organization I work for, we do a lot of programs in the community where I do art projects with kids. You know, so I work with kids and I teach them art, but I'm not technically an art teacher. But it's all good. Like that was kind of my dream as a young man growing up, that I just wanted to teach art, but teaching art is not easy, yo. And I don't know. I love kids, but it seems like it's easier for me to teach adults than it is for me to teach kids. But yeah, so this weekend has been pretty fucking nice, yo. Yesterday we really didn't do much because our Friday was so long, yo. Like Friday was a long day.
It really was.
We didn't get home till like 9. Our day starts at like now, like 4 o'clock in the morning. You know what I'm saying? 4 o'clock, we're up doing shit, and so like I say by 8 o'clock we're fucking fried and done. Like our day is over. But
And it's getting darker earlier too. So like some days I'm in the bed at like 7:30.
appreciate it, Fox. And now, like I say, I got a really dope art show, but it hurts that I don't have my art here with me, so I can like show you guys. It's like, damn. But I want other people to see it, and then even so the show is Friday, but it's gonna be there for a month. So even on Saturday, one of my homies, she posted a little video and she stopped by the spot and posted some shit. I was like, okay. So even the next day, there was still like a few people going in there to check it out and to see it in person for themselves, which I thought was fucking dope as shit. And I'm working on several commissions right now, which is also dope as shit. I'm trying to find damn, it's like I gotta go back. So this piece right here, like I said, it's so hard to see this shit now. But the last two pieces I did are kind of like my favorite pieces now. And I try to really explain to everybody, like I have had this idea for a long time. I've just been kind of apprehensive about producing the images because of the feedback that I would get. But now, like I was telling the one guy, I was just like, I just wanted to be taken as a serious artist before I do this type of material. And he is like, dude, your composition is awesome. It doesn't matter like what it is, as long as you have good composition and it's clean and you're telling the story. He's like, that's all that matters. I was like, I get it, but still, I look the way I look, and if I produce a certain kind of art, people are just gonna assume certain things about me. But now I have a catalog of art that's so extensive and so in depth and has such a like range
Ow.
of emotion and connection to it. Boo, stop. You're gonna go downstairs. Bye.
Going out.
Go down.
I just want to make sure she wasn't gonna sit in the hall.
Yeah. So now I can make art like this, and then you can still have it juxtaposed with all my other content.
Okay, juxtaposed.
So juxtaposed, a side-by-side comparison.
200-300 Empire. I can't believe they made a twerk song out of that.
That shit is crazy. And I got a message from one of my homies. He wants me to call him. He gave me his number.
Right.
Yeah, one of my high school classmates. Really haven't talked in like 20 years, bro. We haven't really talked since high school.
For me, it don't really matter as long as there's no time that passes by when we talk. Now, if it's been like, oh, how your mama and them doing? All right, talk to you later in another 20 years. No.
I don't know. That's so.
Cause I got friends like that I'm still cool with from high school. We just don't talk every
He
month.
texted me yesterday at 6. So I could have texted him back, but it's just like, man, we were really cool in high school.
But now he's just like this uber religious preacher, and
Oh, that's why he wants to talk.
I don't know. It really could, because I've been posting a lot of art, and I have been doing commissions lately, and so he may want some commission work done. That's what that's literally my first go-to assumption, in hope, in anticipation, when somebody
Go get Black Jesus.
I know or don't know reaches out to me for the first time. It's just like, hey, what's up? I'm like, I hope they want some art. Like, that's always my first thought, yo. Like, can you give me a call, bro? Like, damn, I hope this motherfucker wants some art. Like my other homie told me to call him. He did the same thing. Send me his number. Yo, Trap, this Romeo. Yo, holla at me when you get a free chance. I call him. He talking about the metaverse or some shit. Though I'm like, damn, I thought this was some art. But he wanted.
Although he was right.
Yeah. He put me up on some shit like months ago, and then like last week I read an article. I was like, oh shit, this the same shit my homie was already trying to tell me about. The same shit he was already trying to tell me about. I was like, yo, this nigga is on to something. And he called me. He was like, I think you're a smart guy. You're logical thinking. You get it. And he was like, you know, you run a business and work for yourself. He was like, you should understand this. And I didn't understand it. But now it's just other motherfuckers understand that shit, though. And they jumping on that bitch. Now it's like, now I got to call him back and reevaluate some shit. And see if I can get on what he was saying. But now this homie, like I say, we went to high school together. And he was like, kind of, we had a tight little circle, yo. But he was kind of in there. But even in our circle, there was another circle, yo. That kind of broke down even deeper. And it was only 4 of us in that shit. Me, Brandon, Jeremy, and Chad. And then even in that circle, it was kind of like Chad and Jeremy and me and Brandon. And me and Brandon to this day, like, talk like no time never passed, yo. Me and the motherfuckers still fuck with it hard as shit, yo. And me and Chad too, like all of us, like I say, the inner circle, and then it broke down to just 2 groups. But he was like in the circle that was maybe like 8 of us. He was in there. He was in that 8, yo. But like I say, so I was really cool with him in high school, cause we were like went to a kind of a private high school.
Everybody knew everybody.
Yeah, but then just like the black boys, we had our like, and there wasn't a lot of black boys, especially black boys that. Because 3 of us was from fucking Hartsville. Me, because Jeremy is from my hometown. And Monty was in that shit. He from my hometown. Because we actually went to school in another county. Like, and it was a weird thing, yo. And so I was like, oh, you here. We're all from Hartsville. And we're in this strange place. So we should definitely link up. And so he was one of them. But now, like I said, he's a preacher now. And it's just like, you're so fucking smart, bro. We went to a fucking the name of our school was Math, Science, and Technology. Literally.
Bet you he got a big old house and his car paid for.
Yeah, motherfucker doing real good. I'm doing like the least amount out of everybody I know, yo. Like most people I know.
That's because you need to become a preacher, Deacon Prince.
Yeah, most people I know got it, yo. One of my other homies, she drive a fucking Maserati. And her husband got a Land Rover, and they got a nice modern ass fucking $300,000, $400,000 home. Like
the ones that's overseas.
Nah, my homegirl Marjorie.
Oh no.
And then my other homegirl who overseas, like she doing so good. Yo, her job moved her to fucking Singapore. Like my homie Chad, my homie Brandon, he running his own business. He got like a couple businesses.
The Brandon paid his house out.
Yo.
But shit, I mean, you got accomplishments too, though.
Yeah, but like I say, most people I fuck with, like they on their shit, yo. Like, and that's why that shit motivates me to stay on my shit, nigga. Fuck that. Y'all ain't about to outdo me, but Jeremy, he's doing good, yo. Like I say, wife, kids, nice house, nice car, and I think he has his own, not his own church, but he is the pastor at a church, I think, or preacher at a church. I'm analyzing this shit too hard, though. I'm just holler at my homie. I should call him at 10 o'clock when I know he in church on Sunday. Oh, man. Hey, bro, I called you, bro.
You know that phone gonna be off.
I can call him anytime this morning. I'll probably call him right now. Oh, I'm getting prepared for this morning, man.
Hope you ain't up partaking in those sins, Pastor.
Nah, he getting his scriptures together. But it's all good.
How would he brush the teeth for his speech? Yo, my pastor, I used to think he was going to pass the hell out when he was preaching. Congregation, I'm telling y'all. Like, god damn, okay. Then you get the people running around the church. Oh, we used to have somebody who did backflips.
Oh my
He'd catch the Holy Spirit and start doing backflip
God. That's
shows.
how I get my joy on.
It's actually very fun to watch. Like, I know that sounds so bad, but it's so fun to watch people catch the Holy Spirit, yo. Ever since I was a kid, I thought that shit was hilarious.
I like the speaking in tongues.
Yo, I mocked speaking in tongues one time, and I got popped for that shit.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Then how come y'all can do it, but I can't do it? Because you know you
I was
ain't
like,
got
oh, shabba shabba. My mom was like, stop. I'm gonna fuck you up. And I was like... I was probably like, maybe like 10 at the
that.
time.
Fuck that. That shit
Yeah, she hit
funny.
me for that shit.
That shit funny to me. Goddamn. I remember I asked my grandma, I was like, when you speaking, I'm like, what is tongues? She's like, it's the language of God. I'm like, so, what do you be saying? She's like, I don't know. I'm like, how do you know it's the fucking language of God then? You don't know what the fuck you can't, can you translate
Sin
that?
talk.
Yeah. Can you, is speaking in tongues. Can
You should
anyone,
look it up.
yeah, can anyone translate exactly what you're saying? No? Then fucking stop. Like, I had too many hard questions from my grandma, yo. She fucking hated that shit, yo. She hated that shit. Yeah, but I don't know. I was just always inquisitive, and that's
Right.
and like that's the one thing about religion. I never believed that shit, yo. Never. Like never.
I mean, like, and I believed it. Like, when I was a kid, I was really scared to go to hell. Like, terrified.
yeah, it's
terrified.
torture.
Terrified. Like, oh my God, if I do this, I'm gonna go to hell. I hate that language.
Me too.
If I do this, I'm gonna go to hell. If not that I would kill myself, but literally there are people out there who would kill themselves, but they won't because they think that they're gonna go to hell. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't know where the hell we gonna go. I'm kind of scared, but like I was terrified back then. Let's see, Pentecostal history. What is speaking in tongues? The shocking truth about the gift of speaking in tongues. A brief history of speaking in tongues from 100 AD to the 1900s. Let's do that.
I say I just never could. Even in my childlike mind, I had too many questions that weren't answered, and I just never latched onto that shit. Like, how can animals talk? I mean, the earliest stories of the Bible is talking animals, but like.
And then that's my thing. Well, with the Bible is, what do you take literal and what do you not? Because if they say that, you know, oh, this is symbolic and da 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 da, well, where's the switch over? Why is it, oh, make your bed, don't cuss at people, and walk in a straight line down the street. But, oh, go fight the lion, have sex with your brother. Like, what the hell? Like, it just be saying crazy off the wall shit. And then they say something about having sex with a parent or getting eaten and cannibalism. Not with a parent, but you know what I'm saying. Incest. And then you turn around and you like, how?
Yeah.
So you don't take this literal, but you're supposed to take the other part literal.
Like it's
So I shouldn't follow the Ten Commandments then either. It's just contradictory. Like the Ten Commandments, they're not a bad set of rules to follow. But everything else is like, fuck that.
History of Solalia, or speaking in tongues.
Solalia.
Glossolalia.
Show you
Glossolalia.
some of the record, the evidence for tongue,
Oh,
because before the
glossolalia.
hundreds, when it was revived by the Pentecostal movement, just after the last apostle died. First of all, a disclaimer, I'm not a cessationist, evidentialist. So often I'm attacked for not believing in miracles in general or gifts in general. I like to follow the New Testament pattern of faith based on evidence. Wikipedia has a well laid out on this whole matter.
It sounds like you know what you're talking about, but it's
He
just his
does.
voice is just.
I'm gonna give him a couple of seconds.
History section. You see that it has a nice chronological points there. So 400 to 1900. Focus on some of the early post-apostolic.
Yeah, like he's not putting any emotion at all, and I get that because it's like an informative speech, I guess, but like, or informative video, but still. Let's see, I think that this guy is gonna give it to us, even though he's religious, so we're gonna hear it from different perspectives, I guess. But let's hear a religious person explain it.
John, perhaps the most controversial of the spiritual gifts is speaking in tongues. And
It ain't
over
controversial.
your pastoral
Just
ministry,
explain
Bethlehem,
that shit.
you've encouraged people to pursue
That's it. Just
the
explain
full
it.
range of the spiritual gifts. What do you mean by speaking in tongues, and how have they operated or not operated during your pastorate?
We've gone through seasons at Bethlehem where we focus more or less on the.
He's a bullshitter already. He got that George voice.
Like that dude who just was like, did you spend $30,000 on Versace shoes? Well, you know, when I'm preaching, I gotta look good.
Right. That's a part of the
That was
preachers
my
and choirs outfits.
my preacher's attire fund for the year. Did you drive a
I
Bentley?
asked God for something nice, and He gave it to me. Do not block my blessing.
Don't
Sister,
block my
yours is
blessing.
on the way.
Did you say you don't want to ride on a plane because you would be in a tube with demons? I did not say that. And don't you say that.
Don't you say I said that.
I gotta ride my private jets by myself.
I mean, honestly, like, he looks like he has a collection of child pornography. And I hate to stereotype somebody, but those be the ones.
No, he looks like Bill Nye the Science Guy.
No, he does not.
Oh, wow.
He looks like a creeper.
Bill Nye.
Creeper. I heard Bill Nye's an asshole.
Bill, he really is. He's a dick.
Like, a couple of my science teachers met him, and they were like, every single one was like, yo, he is not a warm and fuzzy guy.
And he's not a real professor of anything. He just knows a lot of science.
Yeah. Yo, I don't care though. I would definitely let my kids watch his videos because
yeah.
I love Reading Rainbow, Bill Nye, and then there was something else with the robot in it that I used to watch too. That was like a cartoon, and that was good.
See, I'm so old. I remember Mr. Wizard, yo.
You don't remember Reading Rainbow?
I remember Reading Rainbow, but before Bill Nye, there was this dude.
Bill Nye was after. Like, it was like, oh, the Magic School Bus.
Oh, yeah.
You watched that, right?
Yeah, with Miss Penny?
Miss Frizzle.
Miss Frizzle. Who's Miss Penny? I can't think of where that comes from. We're on the Magic School Bus. Let's go on the Magic School Bus.
You know, they have a new Miss Frizzle.
There was
I don't like it.
the one guy from the Cosby Show had a lot to do with that show.
Word? Oh, I did used to love what was his name? Little Bill. I know that's after your time.
I remember that though.
Because when I was
That was like Bill Cosby's last attempt at fucking a TV show.
Well, that shit was good. And you know what? You know who put me onto it?
Who?
Mama.
Damn.
Me and my mom used to watch it every single day when I was like, I remember, like, I don't even remember nothing from back then, but I remember that. And we used to watch that shit every day, and it was a good show, and it was one of the only shows where, like, it was a full black family at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But what is the wizard? What is what? The wizard?
Mr. Wizard?
Mr. Wizard? I gotta look it up.
It was an old school science show, yo.
I've never seen it.
And he was like an older gentleman, like a not really a granddad, but like an older dad, and he just had the kids come on the show and would do like science experiments. And then there was this one show called Nova.
Mr. Wizard's World?
Mr. Wizard's World. Yo. I can remember the theme song kind of.
Oh, I remember him.
Yeah.
I
and
do.
now that was before Bill Nye, yo. Like
You
that
know
was my
what?
first
I liked him
science show.
because he reminded me of not really, but he just reminded me of Mr. Rogers.
And that was the time. That's how old that shit is.
Yeah.
I watched Mr. Rogers.
I did grow up with Mr.
and
Rogers.
Mr. Wizard, yo.
Teletubbies.
I remember those. But like I've always, and that's the thing, like that's why I can't believe the Bible. I've always been a science kid. I used to watch Nova on PBS. I used to watch Mr. Wizard's World, and like this is all hard fucking science. And it's like, okay, but then you want me to believe that snakes can talk, and that fucking somebody walked on the water, or that a man was ate by a big fish for 7 days, and it's like that. You can't do that. It's impossible to do that. But so you want me to learn this hard science as a kid, like, and then you want me to believe these woo-woo stories, and it's like, nah, that shit never added up. And like, I always just sided with science for some reason, like.
Yeah, because they know. And I mean, science is, proven wrong too.
Yeah, but science is changes.
Rigorous method. Like, you have to, everything, any experiment that you can
And that's
carry out, you got to do the scientific method.
Science proves itself wrong. So when it's wrong, it's because we got better science to disprove the old science. Religion.
Well, and that's the thing about science too. Like I said, you're actually carrying out some type of experiment where you have variables where you can test things. Like you could say, okay, this is, if I do this, then this will happen.
Exactly.
Or based on the past, because this happened, this may happen.
And if it doesn't, okay, now you got to change your thinking. And like, okay, well, I didn't get the
catch-22 about science. Like science, like when we're talking about like, as in like chemistry and like science.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little more straightforward versus like scientific methods in like psychology and sociology. Like they just have to keep doing that shit over and over and over and over again, because it's not the same as like doing some chemistry type shit where it's just like cut and dry. But either way, I don't know.
Yeah, but the science of the mind is still a hard science, because we have
no, I agree. I was just saying that like it's I'm agreeing with you. I'm saying like science is like more.
It's testable.
That's what I'm saying, yeah. Like, we're like psychology, sociology, it's kind of like you get a result, but then you got to keep going and going and going. But like chemistry, like your answer is your answer. Like, that's that.
Oh my.
You know how much air goes in and out when you breathe?
No.
Most people don't. Now take a deep breath.
Most people don't.
What's going on inside of you when you take a deep breath, you know?
Well, my lungs are
Like I said, back in that
inflating.
Yeah, and when you let the air out?
They're deflating.
Well, that's sort of true, but there's a lot more to it than that. In fact, here, I have a model of your lungs right here.
Inflating and deflating.
See, it's a lamp chimney with a one-hole topper in the top there, and a Y made of glass and two balloons. Down below is another balloon that represents what?
My diaphragm?
Your diaphragm, that's right. Okay, so grab a hold of your diaphragm and make it go up and down slowly.
And I remember, like, I was younger than those kids when I was watching it.
Down. Now what happens to your lungs?
Well, they're inflating.
Yes, now move the diaphragm up.
Oh, they're deflated now.
Yes, now diaphragm up and down.
Now you're breathing.
There's Michael breathing. Right. Now notice that you said your lungs inflated and then deflated, and that's true, but it's the diaphragm that's...
Yo, learn about our lungs and how much fucking surface area our lungs have.
Mm-hmm.
That shit is crazy.
And you do it, and outside air pressure is pushing it and making your lungs fill up.
Exactly, like,
you make more room inside there.
I wanted to say it was like something like a
when you inhale like that, then the diaphragm pushes up and forces all the air
just
out.
Like our intestines. Like.
So that's how your lungs work. Okay, good. Now, I want you to take the deepest breath you can and then exhale as much air as you can.
Okay.
Okay, now how much air did you take in and how much air could you possibly blow out? Come over here. Here are 9 one-pint jars. What was the maximum amount of air that you could exhale?
Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
5 pints. Okay? Well, now we're going to actually see how much you can exhale. Over here. See, I have a great big tube filled with water. You see those black marks along there?
Yeah.
Each one of those black marks represents a pint. So you said how much?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's how much I have to blow?
Well, you don't have to blow that much. That was your guess. Think you can do it now? Did you see how much space 5 pints is? Well, why don't you try it? Let's see. Around on the other side over there, at the bottom of this tube, there's a hole. See, and there's a rubber stopper in it?
Yeah.
Take the rubber stopper out.
But won't the water come rushing out?
Right.
couldn't come out.
Okay, why not?
Well, there's no air in there, so the water can't come out.
Right. And the only air that's going to get in there is the air that you blow.
Yeah.
Here's how you're going to do it. See this tube? Stick it in the
love
hole.
science. It's just like,
So all
this
the way
is
to the other side
fucking
of the
cool
tube.
as shit, yeah. Yeah, this all.
Okay, that's great.
And then my foster parents, they were really good.
Now on the
teachers.
other.
That's all they let us watch was PBS. We couldn't watch nothing else, and it was weird.
Even as an adult, I'm not gonna lie to you, because I struggle with just chemistry, like not biology or anything else, but chemistry, because you have to do like stoichiometry and like tables and math, and I can't.
It's a lot of math in that shit, yeah.
This represent AU. This is gold. This is that. Okay, this is salt. Like I can't remember that. N is not really for like, you know what I'm saying? I think like, oh, N nitrogen, like O oxygen. C carbon, like, and I be having to remember, like, no, everything is not like chemistry. So I will literally watch like something for like chemistry for dummies or like infographics or like a show like this for kids, because I'm like, if he can explain it on a kid level, I could take that and then take it back and be like, okay. But they were
Friend
the
of the
best.
tube is the plastic one. And you are going to blow. Practice once, the deepest breath you can, and then as much out as you can.
Once again, like his show is like just geared more towards adults. Some people will find it easy just to talk to adults.
Go.
Yeah, I would just love to see him do something with
I wouldn't mind seeing the kid show from Tyson.
It was just
Yeah.
like one season. He's a busy man. That's a busy man.
How much would he
Yeah, all the way up here.
Okay, come on here and take a look. How'd you do?
I only got
3 and a half. 3. I'm going to put this little piece of tape here. I'll mark that. That's the top of where you were that time. 3. That's pretty good. Think you want to try it again? Think you can do better than 3 1/4? Try it once more. Okay, ready? Take a nice practice now. I find myself too. Go ahead. Here we go. Okay, come on around and take a look at it.
Oh, I did a little better.
Just a little better. You know, you were from the top up here down to there. You did a little better. Yes. So that was a pretty good guess, because after all, you didn't really have any experience at how much air you breathe in and out all the time anyway.
No.
Well, let me see if I can sort of summarize it all for you. Now, the figures I'm going to give you are for an adult, but the proportions would probably stay the same for a boy your size, so you'll just have to cut part of it off, okay?
Okay.
First of all, when you breathe in and out,
And he
that's how
talks
much air goes in and out.
straightforward to him.
One
Like,
pint?
Normal
Inflation,
breathing.
deflation.
Then when you take the deepest breath that you possibly can,
3 pints?
3 pints, right. Then if you just let it all out, obviously you're letting out 4 pints, right?
Right.
But you take the deepest breath you possibly can, and then exhale everything that you possibly can, like you just did. Normally an adult,
3 pints.
3 pints. So there is sort of the maximum amount of air that you put in and out of your lungs, because these 2 pints over there are in your lungs even when you breathe out as much as you possibly can.
I see.
So all those little tiny, have you ever seen what the inside of a lung looks like?
No.
Full of all tiny little air passages. And inside those air passages is at least 2 pints of air. Now, do you know how you can improve your ability to breathe and exchange air, the oxygen, into your lungs and so forth?
No.
Deep breathing exercises. Very good for you. Practice now. Here we go.
make your lungs grow.
Yo, did you know, according to scientific research, that smoking marijuana actually increases your lung capacity?
Some people say that.
So I said, according to some research.
Yeah.
I would believe it. And I mean, I'm not saying it's good for you, but I would think like smoking all the time and inhaling, exhaling, an experienced smoker would definitely have both decrease and increase lung capacity, I guess.
And it seems like if you don't talk about them from the pulpit and teach on them, at least in our context, they tend to fade into the background. And so we go through seasons. And I would say the prominent seasons have been where they're just not in the forefront. That is, the extraordinary gifts like tongues. And I'm okay with that, since my sense is that Paul was not eager to forefront that gift, but was a little bit miffed that it was being foregrounded as much as it was when he wrote 1 Corinthians 12. He was having to give restraint to it rather than promote it. He said, I'd rather speak 5,000 or 10,000 words with my mouth and with my mind than 5 words with my mind than 10,000 with the tongue. And so that seemed to indicate, okay, don't fret too much if it's not a prominent experience. So I don't buy, of course, the Pentecostal historical teaching that you must speak in tongues in order to signify that you're with the Spirit or that you're a Christian even. So the function that it has is that it's a gift. It's there. I see no reason for arguing that anything has changed in the history of redemption, that between the age of the apostles and our age, that gift should have disappeared. If God wants it to disappear, he'll make it disappear. But
you're not really explaining what it is and how do you know.
But I see, in fact, encouragements that we do. So I think I see at least 2 kinds of expressions of it. One would be where it is an actual language.
Okay.
And I've heard stories that people, without knowing what they're doing, have spoken a language that somebody from another people group understood. And so that would be one view. And then my sense is from reading 1 Corinthians 12 that that's not.
So someone who doesn't speak Swahili just starts speaking a different language.
That didn't have any ordinary human meaning, but tongues of men and of angels. Tongues of angel.
I am over him. Did you want to keep listening?
No. And that's how you got to explain it away. It's the tongues of the angels. So we don't have a human translation for it.
Be sure that you're truly.
How to be sure you are truly saved? Demonic origin of speaking in tongues.
Liberals spend your money, but take care of themselves. It's a cynical Washington game. $200 million for a park in Pelosi district. Special tax breaks for Hollywood, the media, elite liberal universities. Millionaires can even get write-offs to buy fancy cars with Chinese parts. All while they force a massive tax hike on small businesses. And working people pay more, but get less. Tell Matt Cartwright to oppose Pelosi's tax and spending scam.
We are going on a family vacation. Everybody is so excited for this.
Hello and welcome to my channel, Bible Vlogbox. I made a video recently entitled 10 Shocking Facts About Speaking in Tongues. If you haven't watched that yet, I highly encourage you to do so because this is a follow-up to that video in which I will include a few more facts that came to my mind. The first thing that I want to mention is that modern day speaking in tongues, which Pentecostals and Charismatics practice, for the most part can be traced.
Okay, am I weird that I've never heard somebody call a religious person a charismatic? Have you heard somebody referred to as that? And I know what it means, but I've never heard that.
To the Azusa Street Revival in Los Angeles, California in 1906. The preacher who was mainly responsible for this revival, which led to thousands of people speaking in tongues over a 3-year period of time, was a one-eyed African-American preacher named William Seymour. Before that, there were some sporadic outbreaks of Christians within holiness communities speaking in tongues, but nothing before 1901.
Wait a minute, they attribute that shit to a black dude?
This dude right here, William Seymour.
Was the preacher who spoke in tongues.
I feel like he finessed the fuck out of everybody and dropped the mic. Or maybe his ass was schizo.
Yeah.
Or maybe he really was speaking in tongues, but that don't mean the rest of y'all can do it.
Yeah, and at the same time, why would white religious goers pick up this practice from a black man in right after the end of slavery? Like, why weren't you already doing this if you were the progenitors of the fucking Christian faith and you delivered this religious doctrine unto the Africans here in America, and then now in the early 1900s, you have this one black preacher who's revitalizing this portion of the Bible that you guys read about, of speaking in the tongues of angels and men, and then you're just gonna imitate and emulate what he's doing. That why weren't you already doing that shit?
And right, that part.
This is supposed to be the biblical gift of tongues, yet there's no record of any Christians babbling incoherently before 1901. If you ask me, this is an end-time deception. Not to mention, Mr. Edward Lee, who was the first person that spoke in tongues after William Seymour prayed for him, clearly had a demonic experience the night before. On the evening of Monday, April 9, 1906, before he left for the Asbury home,
how can you clearly define a demonic experience? It's like he clearly had a demonic experience the night before. But I don't know. I'm gonna stop talking. I want to hear the story now because they trying to make this shit juicy.
This is a short clip. So.
1906, before he left for the Asbury home, Seymour stopped to pray with Edward Lee for a healing. Lee had earlier related a vision he had the night before in which the 12 apostles came to him and explained how to speak in tongues. Lee then asked Seymour to pray with him to receive the baptism with the Holy Spirit. They prayed together, and Lee immediately received and began speaking in other tongues. This was the first occasion of anyone receiving the baptism with the Holy Spirit when Seymour prayed for them. Those were not apostles that visited Mr. Lee in his vision. Those were demons in disguise. The reason being is because the Bible teaches that the dead sleep in the grave until the second coming of Jesus, except for a few exceptions like Enoch, Moses, Elijah, and possibly the saints that rose from the dead at the crucifixion of Jesus. I explain this in more detail in my video entitled Uncovering the Mystery of Death and Ghosts, so please watch that for more information. 20th century speaking in tongues led to the development of the Pentecostal church, and this church has its roots in communication with spirits of the dead. Of the supposed apostles who came to Mr. Lee, other false religions were started in a similar manner. Take Islam, for example. It had its beginnings in the Prophet Muhammad speaking to the angel Gabriel in a cave, and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, which is the Mormon religion, had the angel Moroni, who they claim was a deceased Nephite prophet who led Joseph Smith to the Book of Mormon. That concludes this video, but please subscribe if you haven't already, and stay tuned because I do plan on making another video about this subject. By the way, if you feel this video has been a blessing to you and you would like to make a PayPal donation,
let me get that bread. Hey, wait. Before y'all leave, hey, let me get that donation, man. If you feel like this has been a blessing.
Here is the life of William J. Seymour, Black History Month.
There are those in life that look set up to succeed, practically, socially, culturally, financially. William J. Seymour was not one of those people. In fact, for him it seemed like the very opposite. Son of a slave, blind in one eye, a young black man.
That's what I'm saying. He was so close to slavery of 1900s. Like, bro, you're just right out of slavery, nigga.
Yet God used him, and he became one of the most influential African-American Christian leaders of his time, and his impact can still be felt today. Seymour was born on the 2nd of May 1870 in Louisiana, and his parents, Simon and Phyllis, were both recently freed slaves. Not much is known of his younger years, but later he escaped the harsh prejudice of Louisiana to live in Cincinnati. However, there he suffered a bout of smallpox, and the attack caused him to lose his left eye. Amazingly, his recovery from the potentially fatal illness actually compelled him to become a preacher. He grew an unwavering fascination to experience the Holy Spirit. He was hungry for finding truth, and had a passion to share it, both of which fueled his travels to a great number of different cities. Seymour soon had a desire to become a student at a Bible school in Texas, and sought to go into classes. But because segregation was still happening, they would not provide him with a seat in the class. Instead, he was only allowed to listen through an open door or window. His attendance did not last very long, as he grew sick of the racism. He believed that racial integration in worship was the true heart of Christ. However, from the teaching he did hear, the power that was the Holy Spirit, and what it meant for him. Seymour was led to move to Los Angeles, where he wasted no time in making his presence felt. A kind couple called Mr. and Mrs. Asbury offered to host some gatherings in their home, where Seymour could preach and pray. And on April the 9th, 1906, God began doing something in the hearts of people that was wild and real, and it continued for 3 nights. As excitement increased about these events taking place, more and more people came to witness the meetings, and the Asbury home quickly became too small to accommodate the services. So, Seymour moved the congregation into an unused church building on Azusa Street, which was, at the time, being used as a warehouse. The congregation, made up of people of all races, cleaned out the building and then filled the interior with makeshift furnishings. The pulpit was made of 2 boxes nailed together, and the seats made from planks nailed to empty barrels. Seymour made his home on the floor above the church and began holding services 3 times a day, 7 days a week. A diverse array of volunteers helped assist the gatherings, black and white, men and women. It gained national attention as the Azusa Street Revival, and was a huge catalyst for the expansion of the Pentecostal movement across the world. The Azusa Street Revival was always filled beyond capacity, as it attracted more than 1,000 people a day, and had a reputation for wild scenes of passion and prayer. People were amazed that Seymour, from his unlikely and humble beginnings, had realized his vision of a completely integrated church community alive with the Spirit of God.
Sound like that motherfucker
Some
was a
people
showman.
say that human existence is a result of a roll of the cosmic dice. Like the gambler who stakes his life savings on the next throw, we just got lucky in the lottery of life.
So here's what you should have done if you were a Nazi and wanted to win the war. You should enslave the Jews and the
Jordan
Gypsies and have them
Peterson.
work, right? You should have had them work for the benefit of the victory, and then if you wanted to, you liquidate them afterwards. That's the logical thing to do if you want to win. And we assume that Hitler wanted to win. But that's not a very intelligent assumption. Why would you assume that? He wasn't exactly a good guy. So why should we assume that he was aiming at the good that he was promoting, even in his own terms, right? The glorious, everlasting Third Reich, right? That'll rule for 1,000 years and be a bastion of civilization and music, because that's the sort of thing he purported to be interested in. Well, so what do you do with the Jews and the Gypsies? Oh, round them up, fine. Enslave them, fine. You don't kill them. You certainly don't devote a substantial proportion of your war resources while you're losing to accelerate the rate at which the extermination is taking place. Because that's a bit counterproductive, unless what you're aiming at is the maximum possible mayhem in the shortest period of time. Well, so what happened as the Germans started to lose the war? Did Hitler lose faith in his own ability? No, he believed that the Germans had betrayed him with weakness. And so he was perfectly willing to accelerate the rate at which Germany was losing the war. And so when Hitler and his minions had the choice, here's the choice. You can suspend your unnecessary demolition of people, win the damn war, and then pick it up afterwards. Or while you're losing, you can just accelerate the mayhem even though it's counterproductive. It's like, what did they pick? Well, they picked to accelerate the mayhem. And so to me, there's an old psychoanalytic idea. I think this was derived by Jung. If you can't figure out what someone is doing or why, look at the outcome and infer the motivation. If it produces mayhem, perhaps it was aiming at mayhem. Oh, you have to use that dictum carefully. If someone's irritating you, maybe it's because you're irritable and you should sort yourself out, but maybe it's because they're actually aiming at irritating you. And that's the actual motivation. So perhaps not, but it's another tool in your analytical armament. So, and so you see, well, this is the thing about warfare that's so interesting about because you can attribute it to territoriality. You can attribute it to a war for resources. That's what the, I would say, wretchedly simple-minded economists presume. People fight over scarce resources. It's like, hey, we're a little bit more sophisticated than that. And first of all, what resources are you talking about? The bloody Inuit had nothing. They lived perfectly well. What did they have? Snow and seal blubber. People can live in unbelievably deprived conditions. And so the idea that there are natural resources that we fight over because there's a shortage of them is a pretty oversimplified view of human beings. It's like, well, when people fight, well, maybe they fight sometimes for good reasons, but very, very frequently they fight for bad reasons. And those bad reasons are personal as well as sociocultural and economic. You know, if you were a Nazi prison guard, for example, whatever pathologies you were carrying around in your destructive little soul, whatever element of Cain was deeply embedded in you, had the opportunity to be manifest fully at every moment of your waking existence, right? You had these people who were completely behold to you, with no rights whatsoever, to whom you could do whatever your evil little heart determined. Think, well, maybe that was a motivation for putting them there to begin with. And all the cover story about, well, we're trying to build the Third Reich, and we're trying to stabilize the state, and we're trying to do all these good things. Maybe that's just a cover story for the real motivation, which is nothing but what? The construction of death camps that killed 6 million people. How about that? And the obliteration of 120 million people on the planet, and the leaving of Europe in ruins. Maybe that was the motivation.
Well,
or are we going to attribute to Hitler the highest possible motives? Say no, it's.
So he says, look at the outcome and then assume the motivation. So if it produces havoc and chaos, then you must assume that the original motivation was to produce havoc and chaos. And so like he said, even though they were losing, they still accelerated their death camps and extermination of the Jews. And so that's obviously what they wanted as the outcome, to be able to lock these people away and to manipulate them, to treat them whichever way they wanted to and whatever their little evil hearts desired. So, okay, let's look at the history. If we're going to use that same line of thinking and logic, if you look at the history of African Americans here in the United States, apparently the African American family still holds about 10 times less wealth than the average white American. Even after 200 years of being out of slavery, we were decimated to the point where we don't have our own last names and our own languages and any connection to our origins at all. And so if you look at the outcome, you must assume that this was the purpose and intention from the beginning, but they don't want to teach critical race theory in school.
Yeah, it shocks me. I mean, it doesn't shock me, but it blows my mind how much white people don't want that to be taught in school.
But
there are so many people that advocate against it. I'm just like, bro.
I mean, what is white history?
But we can take all this time and analyze Hitler and the Third Reich and Jews and the Holocaust and how this affected them. You know what I'm saying? What?
Yeah, he talks about a lot about Nazis and Hitler.
I like listening to him though. He's a pretty smart guy.
$153,000 in affiliate commissions in 60 days. Without Amazon, Shopify, or...
In the beginning, God created the universe and a planet called Earth. Humans were formed in God's image to continue God's work. But soon, humans decided we want to live our way, not God's. Selfishness and violence filled the world, so God started over with just one family. And God made a covenant with a man named Abraham. The land around you is now yours. Your family will be my blessing to the entire world. In just a few generations, they grew into a large nation named Israel. The Egyptians became fearful and forced the Israelites to be their slaves. Through a humble leader named Moses, God led the Israelites in a great exodus back toward their promised land. Along the journey, God gave laws and commands to help the Israelites follow God's ways.
They didn't obey.
Finally, after 40 years of struggle and complaining in the desert, the Israelites arrived back home in Promised Land. In victory, the people worshipped God, but soon after, they turned from God and lived their own rebellious ways. This became a pattern from generation to generation. Israel's greatest judge was Samuel. He followed God's ways and spoke for God as a prophet. He told Israel that God was the only king they ever needed.
But they desired to be like the corrupt nations surrounding them and insisted, "We want a human king who we can see to rule over us just like the other nations." So Samuel found a man named Saul to be Israel's first king. His reign began well, but before long, Saul stopped following God's ways and made many bad decisions. So Samuel told Saul, "Because you have turned your back on God, God has rejected you as a king." Samuel's search for the next king led to a courageous young shepherd boy named David. When David grew up to be king, God blessed him and the Israelites greatly. But David was not perfect. He had an affair with a married woman and committed a murder to cover it up. But deep inside, David always loved God and would return to living in God's ways. Known as the poet warrior, he wrote music to God called psalms, heartfelt expressions of prayer, struggle, and thankfulness. After many years as king, David gave the throne to his son Solomon. God also told David, "One day, one of your descendants will rule with a kingdom that will never end." Solomon succeeded his father David, becoming the richest king in Israel's history. Full of God's wisdom, Solomon wrote books like Proverbs and built a magnificent temple, a permanent tabernacle reminding people of God's continual presence. But Solomon strayed from God, marrying corrupt wives who led him into worshiping false gods. Civil war broke out, dividing the country into a northern kingdom called Israel and a southern kingdom called Judah. Soon, both of these kingdoms were led by corrupt kings who ignored God's ways. During this time, prophets were sent as messengers, calling the Israelites to return to God. They warned of the destructive consequences ahead. The prophet Elijah, a wild and rugged man, showed up false prophets by calling on God to give an awesome display of fire. The prophet Elisha followed him, bringing a boy back to life by causing him to sneeze.
Wait a minute, I thought Jesus was the only person that came back to life, yeah? I thought Jesus was the only person resurrected from the dead. Oh, I thought, what about the other guy that came back from the dead too? Damn, I can't think of that shit. But that's something else weird. Like a lot of people came back from the dead in the Bible, yo.
I mean, the fact that Jesus was born from a virgin.
Yeah. A lot of zombie dead people walking around. It's pretty cool how he running through the whole Bible story fast as shit, though.
Yeah, it's called the Old Testament, told in only 5 minutes.
Yeah, that shit is crazy.
That's why I was like, I'm gonna check this out and then hop back on that tongues thing, because I got sidetracked.
A wild and rugged man showed up false prophets by calling on God to give an awesome display of fire. The prophet Elisha followed him, bringing a boy back to life by causing him to sneeze. These prophets challenged the Israelites and their kings to return to God's better ways. But the Israelites would not listen. Distracted in their own rebellion, other nations swept in and conquered both of the kingdoms of Israel and Judah. God's people were forced out of the promised land, and many were taken away to be slaves once again. The temple was destroyed, and the people lost everything. This was a time called the exile, where many of the Israelites, now called Jews, were scattered across different lands. One prophet named Daniel was sent to a city named Babylon. The law demanded that everyone pray only to the king of Babylon, but Daniel refused and prayed to God 3 times a day. So Daniel was thrown into a pit of hungry lions. But God closed the mouths of the lions, and Daniel emerged the next morning without a scratch. Though scattered, God was still watching over the Jewish people, and God gave them hope, speaking through the prophet Jeremiah's words. I'll make a new covenant with the people of Israel, returning them to the promised land and filling their hearts and minds with my ways. 60 years later, this hope was realized. The Persian Empire freed the Jewish people to return to their promised land. A small number gathered back in the capital city of Jerusalem, and a new, smaller temple was put under the leadership of Ezra. Reunited, they celebrated and shouted with joy. But the elders wept in remembrance of what was lost.
Prophets like Malachi and Isaiah pointed to the future and a coming king, a Messiah, one who would fully restore Israel and bring a new kingdom of peace. So the Jewish people waited and hoped, and God would not speak through the prophets again for 400 years.
Hi there, my name is John Green. This is Crash Course.
Christianity from Judaism to Constantine. I like this guy.
So I guess we're in another one of those 400-year lulls where God just don't have no active prophets.
Right.
And then all the people who do claim to get messages from God, like the people who were saying that, oh, God told them that Trump was going to win the second term, but then he didn't. And then they tried to explain why God told them false information.
So let's have a talk about one of the most uncomfortable topics in Christianity, glossolalia. Hi everybody, welcome back. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe to see more content like this. Before we get started, if you haven't already watched the video on Tongues of Angels, then check it out. That will go into more detail on what speaking in tongues is.
We're going to be
so let's get
Bible
right
scholars soon.
What exactly is glossolalia? Glossolalia is the term used to describe the phenomenon of apparently speaking in an unknown language, especially in religious worship. The Bible talks about what is known as speaking in tongues. There are some Christians that believe speaking in tongues is an angelic language and is directly linked with the baptism of the Holy Spirit. And there are some Christians that believe speaking in tongues is not a real spiritual experience and that it cannot be identified as a language. The main arguments for the belief of glossolalia are: firstly, speaking in tongues can be studied and analyzed and found that it does not share or follow the same patterns or rules as other known languages, such as English or Spanish. The conclusion drawn from this is that it is not a real language. And secondly, the Apostle Paul states, "Though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels and have not charity, I am become as sounding brass or a tinkling cymbal. And though I have the gift of prophecy and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and though I have all faith so that I could remove mountains and have not charity, I am nothing." The argument here is that this scripture is a hyperbole, which means it's an exaggerated statement that is not meant to be taken literally. Those that believe in glossolalia say that Apostle Paul is making an exaggerated statement to get a point across to the readers that charity is important to have as a Christian. The argument here is that Apostle Paul isn't saying he understands all mysteries and all knowledge and has all faith, and in the same way he isn't saying that he speaks in the tongues of angels. Now that we understand what the belief of glossolalia is, let's take a closer look and see what we find. Go back to the scripture where Apostle Paul tells us, "Though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels." The first thing to point out here is that even if Apostle Paul was making exaggerated statements, we have to consider the statements being made. Apostle Paul makes a statement about 6 different things. 1. Tongues of men. 2. Tongues of angels. 3. The gift of prophecy. 4. Understanding of all mysteries. 5. Understanding of all knowledge. And 6. All faith. We have to ask ourselves, does understanding of all mysteries exist? Does all knowledge exist? Does all faith exist? Does the gift of prophecy exist? And does tongues of men exist? The answer to all these questions is yes. So just as all mysteries, knowledge, faith, gift of prophecy, and tongues of men exists, so does tongues of angels exist. Now the question becomes, is speaking in tongues the angelic language that Apostle Paul references in this scripture? The second thing to note about this scripture and any scripture is that when considering the interpretation, we should always consider other scriptures in the Bible that are related in order to provide more context or a better understanding. For example, Apostle Paul writes, "I thank my God, I speak with tongues more than you all." This shows us that Apostle Paul did speak in tongues. Now I know what some of you might be thinking. Speaking in tongues is not an angelic language. It is when a person can suddenly speak a new language for the purpose of spreading the gospel. But as I said earlier, When interpreting scriptures, we need to consider other scriptures that are related. With that in mind, Apostle Paul also writes, "He that speaks in an unknown tongue speaks not to men, but to God, for no man understands him. Howbeit in the Spirit he speaks mysteries." With this scripture, we can see that speaking in tongues cannot be when a person can suddenly speak a new language for the purpose of spreading the gospel, because Apostle Paul tells us that when you speak in an unknown tongue, you're not speaking to men, but to God in the Spirit. This statement from Apostle Paul is one of the biggest clues as to what speaking in tongues is. It is when a person is speaking to God in the Spirit, and nobody is able to understand what is being said in the Spirit unless they have the spiritual gift of interpretation of tongues. But that's another video for another day. Once we start to stack scriptures on top of each other, we begin to see a bit more clearly. Going back to the first part of the argument for the belief of glossolalia, it is argued that speaking in tongues can be recorded, analyzed and studied, and found that it does not share or follow the same patterns or rules as other known languages such as English or Spanish. Therefore, it must not be a real language. The problem with this statement is that if speaking in tongues is spiritual and is directly linked with the Holy Spirit baptism as indicated through Scripture, then how can it be measured through physical means? If you study spiritual things through physical measures, then you will struggle to come to the correct understanding. To help us better understand the idea of studying spiritual matters through physical means, we can take a look at the biblical account of the man who was possessed by many spirits known as Legion. A quick recap for those who may not know the account. There was a man who was possessed by an unclean spirit who lived among tombs, and the man used to cry and cut himself with stones. Along came Jesus and commanded the spirit to come out of the man, at which point the spirit begged Jesus not to torment him. We find out that the name of this spirit was Legion, as there were many spirits possessing the man. Long story short, Jesus cast the spirit out of the man, and the spirits went into a herd of swine that were nearby. The man who was possessed with the spirits was then found to be in his right mind, no longer cutting himself or crying out. If we were to take this man who was possessed by these spirits and we were to study his behavior through physical means, we would come to the conclusion that perhaps the man needs to be institutionalized due to mental health. But we clearly see this is not the case, as this man's problem was spiritual and not physical. In conclusion, we cannot rely on physical studies to guide us in spiritual matters. Many people hear Christians speaking in tongues and they say that they are speaking gibberish or that they are crazy. Luckily for us, Apostle Paul covers this subject as well. Apostle Paul says, if the whole church comes together in one place and all speak with tongues, and there come in those that are unlearned or unbelievers, will they not say that you are mad? The early church were facing much of the same ridicule as Christians are still facing today. That's it for this video, guys, and as always, these videos are not meant to offend anyone, but rather open up our understanding to the Word of God. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. See you in the next video.
Once again, people still try to use the Bible to explain the Bible. You see, you know speaking in tongues is real because in the Bible when Jesus said, oh man, come on.
A few years ago, I had a dream.
I'm getting our Sunday school lessons in.
We were watching a play.
Our Sunday school lessons.
It was a musical based on the book of Acts in the Bible. We were watching these people on stage portraying the early church as seen in the book of Acts. They were sharing everything in common with one another. They were healing the sick. They were casting out demons. They were raising the dead. They were preaching the gospel.
Everybody can come back from the dead, yeah.
From all over the auditorium and joining them on stage as their numbers grew. Nothing could stop them as they proclaimed the kingdom of God, and their numbers continued to grow, and God was with them, working in them and through them and around them. But then as the dream progressed, things began to change. Suddenly, We were no longer watching a play, but we were at a normal, modern-day worship service. The early church on stage was gone and were replaced by a band, and everyone in the audience stood up and began singing worship songs. I was in the audience, but instead of joining them in singing these worship songs, I began to pray. And as I began to pray, I began to cry. I began to feel this deep emotional pain that I can't even begin to describe. It was like someone I knew had died. It was like I had been betrayed.
I can't even begin to describe it. Then he begins to describe it.
More pain. I fell to my knees. I put my head to the ground, and I began to sob. And I was heaving through sobs, trying to catch my breath, and the pain was just so intense. And then I heard someone to my left say, "Is everything okay?" And I heard someone on my right say, "His wife just left him." And then I woke up. And then in that moment, the Lord said to me, "You have been asking for my heart, and you felt what I feel. My bride has abandoned me." I kept thinking about that dream and what he said all night long as I tried to fall back asleep. It kept swirling through my mind. But I didn't really know what to do with it. I remembered that dream for a few weeks, but as the weeks turned to months, eventually I forgot. 2 years later, almost to the day, I saw the exact same dream. I was in the same church, in the same auditorium, watching the same play. I saw the same early church on stage and the same people joining them as their numbers grew. I saw that same early church disappear and get replaced with the same modern church worship service. I heard the same songs being sung, and I felt the same emotional pain. I heard the same person to my left say, "Are you okay?" And the same person to my right say, "His wife just left him." But this time, I knew what was happening. I remembered the dream. It all came back to me, and I remembered what the Lord had said to me. And then I woke up. This time when I woke up, the Lord said, "Tell my people how they have committed adultery."
This man having dreams about his wife cheating on him, and he don't want to accept that shit.
Finally, somebody who disagrees. God. Oh, no. I gotta watch this other one first. It says, just fake it till you make it.
Damn.
This is where he teaches us 7 days, of course.
I'm gonna command this spoon
Hidden powers and plastic
right now
spoons.
to receive all the healing that Christ has in this spoon.
Even the spoon has to obey. He has recently been exposed for faking a deliverance with a homeless woman. I'll pay you in drugs if you do this for me. One of his followers made this shameful, dramatized thumbnail picture of her on his YouTube channel. Wow. After being filled with the Holy Spirit. The shameful act of him exploiting this homeless woman was only to promote his school. Do you think God will bless people with heavenly tongues? Care less about himself than it is about money. I mean, you could have just talked to someone who was terrible music.
So I tell people, pray in tongues. Speak to God. I don't care if you're talking baby talk. It's funny because we can talk to a little 1-year-old, goo goo gaga, and it's so cute, right? Everybody loves that. But if you do that to God,
Now that's crazy. How do I start? And this is what I do. I get around people, and I want to speak in tongues, and I'll say, here's what I'm going to do. See, when you get around people in the church, they all sound the same because they listen to each other. Right? You go to a Pentecostal church, and then they sound a certain way. And then you go to another church, and they sound a certain way. They all sound different because they listen to each other, and they kind of mimic each other a little bit. But what I do is I get somebody, I'll say, okay, just mimic me, right? Mimic me. It's funny, people say, how do you say mimic? Oh, you're not supposed to do that. I love it when Scripture says that we're to model our walk, right? After Christ. So we're mimicking Christ.
I gotta read on these. Earlier you heard me say how other churches mimic each other.
And that's
basically telling you that the spiritual tongues aren't real.
Yeah, that's the same thing in my grandma's church. Like everybody kind of speaking
The same
tongues the
reason I
same
can say,
way.
oh, shababa lo shababa, and that's all they say.
Yep.
That's all they say. I mean, I might not say it exactly the same, but
It sounds similar because you're just mimicking what you've
it
heard.
always starts with the sh and ends with the ba ba ba, right?
Something like that. Shamana lamana hamanama.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
It's like what the fuck? What is that?
Yeah, I feel like you're capturing a demonic spirit, if anything. Shit. He knows that he's fighting it, and that will be you too.
That's what a teacher does. A teacher helps you grow. It doesn't say, well, that's not a God. It's like, you know what? That's between you and God. Really? And if I can help you speak to God, whether it be mumbling, whether it be goo goo gaga, whether it be humming, whether it be whistling. Me, I'll go. Okay. So we'll start out with Abba. So you ready? Anybody can do this. So here we go.
Shabba.
Abba. Abba Sala. Terese. Kele Masa. Endeseke.
I feel like he's putting a spell on us right now. Latin ass witch spell.
Deleseke. Abba. So now, you may have tried to stay up and fell behind. We're going to do it again. But this time, if you fall behind and you can't say the words, just make something
Make up your own shit.
Abba, Shabba, Lama, Lama, Lama.
There you go.
Abba, Shabba, Lama, Lama, Lama.
Ooh, I'll make a song called Speaking in Tongues.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
Yo. That's hands down my favorite part of the show, like, this whole year.
Oh, she just started speaking that shit so fluent. You drove a Honda yesterday, what?
Right, I was saying she's speaking in her language.
Easy as that.
Not only are you anointed by your man, but your angels. La brosta. Your angels are anointed by the voice of your man.
Do you feel a squirrel?
Yeah. Definitely. Yo, I just let's just see the picture of him too. Oh, on my camera. Yo, hard body finessing, yo.
That's like this dude. Big old chain, light brown skin, can't be no more than 30 years old, very attractive, driving a nice car.
Talking about Shama Brosta.
Right, like, boy, when babies speak it.
So today I want to coach you in how to activate it and how to get it operating in your life. Now you have to just begin to step out. Don't worry about your mind. Just let it flow from your spirit. Mysteries to God.
Mysteries.
I'm just going to pray in tongues and you can just join me. All right, so you ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. I choose to pray with my spirit. Kura baba bashanda kienda la bariesta mom briaste cariesta brianda. Yes, the mind says it's weird, but the spirit says, hello, this is awesome. And so right now, just let it flow from your spirit. Kianda badora mandiesta. Don't worry about the words, just from your spirit, just let it flow. Kira bashonda kiese ambro prienda la bariesta mariesta la barlosha brianda. You don't have to be embarrassed. There's no one around if we feel embarrassed in front of. And so just be confident, just be bold. Say yes. Shakaramadura, Yembrasso Priende, Mamblo Cerebriasta. Once it starts, just let it flow. It's like a little tap that gets turned on and it's starting to drip. Or just turn it on a little bit more. Just let it flow.
Just told me, man, let it say whatever it wants to say. Hi.
Hey, oh my God. No, he did.
That's that same preacher?
Look.
Flow. It's like a little tap that gets turned on and it's starting to drip. Or just turn it on a little bit more. Just let it flow.
Just told me, man, let it say whatever it wants to say. Hi.
Why would he do that?
Because he like flying on private jets because he ain't want to be in the tube full of demons.
Looking coochie too. Why would you do that?
Virus away is like, I blow you. I was like, what the fuck is this dude doing, yo? But hey, scamming them little old white ladies, yo.
The person say, yo, is he speaking Italian? I'm pretending to speak Italian.
I forgot what that dude's name is.
This has been out for a year.
Oh my God.
And it does not even have 1,000 views yet.
Why is nobody watching this shit?
Yo, I don't know. Because I don't want to share this shit on my social media and round some people up on Sunday morning. On God's day. I'm going to get you from. Go on, from my ass.
I encourage you to just practice by yourself in your room.
Yo, that last part was the best part I've ever
Practiced
seen.
in my room alone, and I built up my confidence to pray in tongues. And then finally, when I was in public, I got more confident to do that. And
I practiced my make-believe language by myself whenever, you know, I was bored and shit. Then I was like, fuck it, I figured out enough words that I made up that sound like Latin, Italian, Spanish, African. I just throw all that shit in there at once, yo. So what would a German sound like speaking in tongues? Was nach nach nach
Now I gotta hear that. Why you do that?
Are you okay, girl? Calm down. Oh my God, look how Scottish. A Russian speaking in tongues? Yeah, if you don't speak English, then what does your tongue sound like? If you're already Italian, do you speak like American tongue? Like
A recent comment said on the gift of tongues. So that's what we
oh my God.
In Spanish,
False
ja,
tongues
ja,
is
ja.
pretty
Ja, ja,
easy to
ja.
spot.
especially if you have someone like Pete Cabrera or anyone teaching it to you.
You ready? Anybody can do this.
The guy we were just watching.
What's his name? Pete Cabrera.
He's getting excited.
I'm getting excited.
So here we go.
Here we go. Here we go.
Abba.
Abba.
Abba Sala. Derese. Kelemasa.
I swear, it sounds like me trying to pretend I know how to speak Spanish.
Right. Jabba make a straight Aha, lama lama. Here he says, I speak English, United Kingdom. Hey, Mary, we speak English too,
Wow.
but we're in...
I'm feeling it.
You know what he sounds like?
I'm not worried about you.
You seen what you call it? Apocalypto?
No.
I gotta make you watch that movie, yo. But if you, yo, it sounds like he's speaking whatever language they spoke in Apocalypto.
I want to teach you.
That is not tongues. Proper tongues.
He's like that. Is not. Wait a minute. How do you know what is proper tongues, bro?
It's so funny everybody tries to discredit other Christians.
I agree. Say it. I thought this was somebody about to like try to disprove tongues altogether. He's like, that's not the real way. I'm gonna show you the real way.
And you never know till you watch this video. I'm gonna go back to the other one, but I was looking for the German-speaking tongues, and then I found this. So, I get sidetracked.
Hear people speak in gibberish, it goes against what it says in 1 Corinthians 4:27. If anyone speaks in a tongue, 2 or at most 3 should speak in turn, and someone must interpret. Most of what we see is groups speaking, which is wrong. And almost always without an interpreter, which is also wrong. Some use Romans 8:26 to justify tongues and praying in spirit. In the same way, the Spirit helps us in our weakness. For we do not know how we ought to pray, but the Spirit himself intercedes for us with groans too deep for words. Some translations say words that cannot be uttered. So we see here that it's a prayer that no words can express. It's not praying in gibberish. The only verse we see that could mean it's something other than an actual human language is 1 Corinthians 13:1. If I speak in the tongues of men and of angels, but have not love, I am only a ringing gong or a clanging cymbal. So could there be some angelic language that God allows? Sure, I guess. But unless it's a known language, how does it benefit anyone if it can't be translated? What we do know from Scripture is that on the day of Pentecost, they were all speaking in known languages to show God's power working through these people. And it was for God's purpose and glory alone, to lead others to Him. The word tongues here in Greek is glossa and means an actual language. Not to mention, we don't have one verse in the Bible of anyone praying in tongues over a person, so why do people do it today? I'm going to give one example of a guy in my church that I think demonstrates the true gift of tongues in this day and age.
I know somebody.
He was on a mission trip to a different island here in the Philippines and was preaching to others from a different tribe that spoke a different language. These two tribes were enemies, much like we see in Africa with different groups. God had led them to these people. After some time of breaking down the barriers between them, he was drinking tea with them one day, when out of nowhere one of the leaders said, "Okay, now we believe your God is real because we poisoned your tea and you should be dead, but you live." This is great support for Mark 16:18, saying that some would even drink poison and it would not harm them. But we don't want to be arrogant like some groups are and test God.
I mean, you're
we
so
don't
smart
say,
and so
"I'll prove to you
fucking
my God's greater. I'm going to drink this arsenic and it won't affect me." Or be like these groups that carry around snakes to prove this verse is true. You may have heard of a guy whose father died from a snake bite doing this, and then the son died shortly after doing the same thing. That's just foolish. But what happened here was under God's will. So they formed a trust, and one day a woman in their village had died. They were praying over her and chanting and putting garlic cloves on her body, trying to bring her back. But when this didn't work, they asked him to come over and pray. He told me that her feet were stiff and cold, and that he was praying over her with such great sorrow in his heart. He suddenly broke out into tongues, and it was their native language. He couldn't understand it, but they told him that he was praising and glorifying God in their language, and they were amazed. And then suddenly she sat up with a gasp and said, "I'm thirsty." He never spoke in tongues again, drank poison, or saw another dead raising. But many came to Christ through what God did at that
but it
time.
was on this retreat, remote journey that nobody saw but him.
Today. God speaking through a person in an unknown language in his timing and for his glory. Tongues is not what we see in most churches today. I know spiritual gifts and their use today are a very divided topic. But
You just told us a hearsay story, bro, with no facts.
Right, but discredited this other man.
Learn a language with clickable subtitles. Choose from hundreds of
A
foreign TV.
person I know who went to my church went on this spiritual retreat and told me this is what happened.
Yeah, that made no sense.
What?
Vi är här,
Dette
oder?
Rosenweg, oder sind wir?
Okay, da ist der Bäckerweg.
Da ist der Bäckerweg. Also ein Stückchen weiter, nur links runter. Ja. Komm mal ran. Hier.
Yo, it's so funny when I see old German men, because I'll be like, yo, look at my mother's freaking father.
Damn.
He looks like, he's like the prototype, like he is like
Damn.
what a German man looks like.
Kommen Sie rein.
Wow.
Wir haben Sie denn hier Äpfel, hier vorne Pflaumen, von allem etwas. 25 Jahre. 26 Kolonien. Kleingartenkolonie ist ja so, dass du hier natürlich gewisse Pflichten hast.
Oh.
Die Hecken da, die dürfen.
I'm pretty sure that the word kindergarten comes from the Germans. I'm like almost 100% sure I learned about that. It's the kinder, he's a child or something. Yeah, I can't find any German speaking to me. We will still speak the mother tongue. Conversations with the Amish. So I learned that the Amish have been here since like the 1700s, and then the Mennonites broke off from the actual Amish and were like, yo, we're gonna do our own thing. And I think they've been like since like the 1800s. And of course the Mennonites are more like modern, I guess, so to speak. But apparently the Amish have been around since like, I think it was like 1693, and it was some guy and his last name was like something, Ama something, Amat or something, so they just started calling themselves the Amish after following him, and that shit started in fucking Switzerland, of all places. Yeah, I've been learning all types of random facts that are never gonna help me in life.
That's right. Kannst du verstehen.
Also zum Beispiel, wie spät stehen Sie auf normalerweise morgens?
Menschen in the morgen? Verstehen?
Ja.
In the morning? Yeah, they're speaking.
You mean as Erwachsenenlein, Altenlein? Bei der Jungenlein?
Jetzt.
4 Uhr.
4 Uhr.
4 Uhr.
Harry said,
Uhr.
what's
Ja,
up,
ja,
okay.
ja.
Yo.
Harry from the UK.
Oh, what subject do I teach? I don't teach any subject.
I mean, I feel like there's always information.
Yeah, art and education. So, it's not like just geared to one subject. We just try to be informative on all the topics that we choose to talk about. Right now, we're just doing some religious studies, even though we're not religious, but it's always good to be educated on all topics. So it's not just one particular thing.
It's normally like current events and whatever's going on, and if there's nothing worth talking about, then it's whatever we feel like talking about, pretty much.
Yeah.
But sometimes people pop in and they'll ask us about stuff, and then we have to look it up. We just kind of, it's early in the morning, and we just kind of went on a rampage almost. We kind of got sidetracked, started talking about tongues, and then we wanted to hear German people speak in tongues, and I don't think a video like that exists.
I doubt it. Germans are really
Very smart.
secular.
Yep.
A lot of European countries are more secular
I mean, my
nowadays.
grandfather's a Christian. I've never heard him speak in tongues. And my grandmother was born a Catholic. She died a Christian, and I never heard her speak in tongues.
Mm.
The only time I ever heard tongues was when I went to church with my mom.
It's because it's still a weird little tradition. That shit is.
But that's the thing, too. Like, okay, for example, I went to a 95% black church, probably 98% growing up. And all the black churches I went to, people spoke tongues. And I only went to my grandmother's church, but it was probably 98% Caucasian, and they didn't speak tongues at all.
Mm-hmm.
Nor did they really, like, they did, like, Christian music, but it wasn't, like, gospel, though.
And that's probably why, because once again, where did they say who really brought that tradition back? It was some
William Seymour,
some
who
black
was
dude,
black.
and so that's why more black people do that shit, yo. And some white people, just like that guy right there, that really famous rich preacher, he was doing it. But on the whole, it's like it's kind of more of a black thing. And I've never seen a white person do it before, but
Yeah, that was my first time seeing white people speak
I've
in
seen-
tongues. I was like, wow. I mean, at my church, because my mom is white, but, like, you know, I've never seen it, like,
yeah, I've seen tons of black people do it. I've never seen a white person do it. And for a while, I thought,
honestly, I've seen more men speak in tongues than a woman, too.
yeah. And I thought it was just a black thing, and I don't, like, once again, I didn't know the origin of who started that shit
Right.
until I started watching these other televangelists with my grandmother, and then it's like, oh, a lot of white people do this shit too. And so I'm thinking like, oh, black people get that shit from white people, but nope, it's
And
the
it
other
just
way around.
depends. And that is the thing. Like, you have some people that are very religious and still racist. But for the most part, I think that people will overlook race, gender, not sexuality, but race and gender and certain things, class, as long as they fall under the same religious umbrella.
Yeah.
Like, when you're in church, none of that shit doesn't matter. Harry says American church is different to church in England. How so? How's it different, and do you identify with the religion?
Yeah, are you religious?
I'm going to turn this video back on with these Amish. That they say they still speak the mother tongue, so I'm guessing these are Mennonites, and they're saying, like, look, we still got it, we're just more modern.
Okay, und was machen Sie zuerst?
Oh, for breakfast?
Okay.
Oh, Pannekuchen? You know what Pannekuchen is? Pancakes.
Und danach? Was machen Sie danach? Müssen Sie dann zur Arbeit?
Oh.
Ooh, that's so funny. Wiki tongues. They'll speak in Pennsylvania, German, and English.
They speak in Pennsylvania?
Pennsylvania edition.
These motherfuckers got their own Pennsylvania language.
They must speak that shit in Lancaster. Lancaster. A black man making foreigners feel at home by speaking their language.
That Korean dude or?
It's a black man and it's a Korean couple, and they're like, oh my god, oh no, this is a Mandarin couple here.
Oh yeah, and there's this one white dude. He went to Africa, started speaking some African shit. The motherfucker was like, "What the fuck? How the fuck you know Yoruba, nigga?" He's like, "Yo, I just trained."
This is funny. What English sounds like to non-English speakers.
Damn.
So cute. How big is he gonna get?
Look at the big red dog. You remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
We're offering a $25,000 reward for the capture of the big red dog.
Clifford, run!
How far will you go?
We have to save him.
I'm in.
Run.
For your best friend. I got this.
Clifford, the Big Red Dog, rated PG. Keep theaters on Paramount Plus Wednesday.
On Paramount Plus.
Listen, I'm not going to see it in the movie theaters, but
I am trying to do
Who kids we got? Where's Tamon's daughter at, yo? Yo, Tamon, let me borrow your daughter so I can have an excuse to go see this shit right here, man.
It's in spirit.
Yeah,
It's in
yeah.
preparation. I'm dead.
I go by myself. What your grown ass doing here? You look like a
Right.
fucking
That's what
molester.
I'm saying. We gonna go together. They're gonna be like, are y'all trying to pick up some
Kids, right? No. I'm meeting my nephew here.
Oh, his mom said he didn't make it. Sorry.
We already brought the tickets. Fuck it.
No, I probably could take my niece and nephew next weekend. I just don't like theaters. I'd rather watch this shit at home. I have to see it though, just because they keep remaking all this old shit, and I'm just like, are y'all gonna make it as good?
But that's the thing. That's American, and it does come from children's books, but they were children's books, so there wasn't like really.
Honestly, the book was the best.
Yeah.
The book was the best, and then but the PBS show was so good.
Yeah, it really was. And so, like, since it is built for American kids, it should be easy to translate it. Like I said, I just hate motherfuckers trying to translate
No, it
foreign
looks-
shit into American
it looks
shit.
cute too. It's just a different style is all. That's why I said I'm gonna give it a chance because I actually love Clifford and what was her name, Emily.
Mm-hmm.
So, yo, like that was my shit. Barney was okay for a while. Teletubbies was okay for a while, but yeah.
I always liked the talking dog. I can't
He
remember.
was just so sweet. He's just a big red dog named Clifford.
The one dog who ate the bowl of alphabet soup and then she can talk.
Yeah. You know what else I used to enjoy too was I don't know if you know about this, but Junie B. Jones.
Junie B.
I wonder if
Jones.
your sister read that. Probably. The little girl, she was in like 4th grade, glasses. I wonder when the Junie B. Jones books came out. I was a little bit older when I read them, but they were still really good. It's just like me watching Clifford the big red dog now.
Remember Carmen Sandiego?
Yeah, it was published from 1992 to 2013. As I said, I was a little bit, I wasn't like, 4, but yeah, they came out in 1992. That's a good series. Harry, is that you? What's your religion? See somebody popped out and popped right I was gonna say, you're gonna finally get to what it sounds like?
Parking here. That's it. Oh, hey, Natson. What's that shoe? Lining, panning, barbeting, de minimis, aim? Mnemonic. Start with the head move. It's carpetable. Hashing guards, actually. Tracy Paladin having it since like 40 while I was a soap and an ottoman or something. It was palatable. Tracy was a normal cop? Yeah, Ashton part though. Mandolin, that older combing dorm dot. Yeah, that part, the actual placency, and over it was draped like 6 or something. I mean, strange me out, and that was palatable. It's chalked over now, but hey, did you letter print? No, only on stone pieces, wood pieces, and HP pieces. What about the acorn pieces? Kind of part. He's hoarding his packing. Is he having it older? Older with a leak, yeah. Right. I heard you wouldn't treat that without Parkinson's. For the Parkinson's, it's actually Lancaster. Shim was sort of that I didn't want to open for, because, I mean, I thought the hand sticks was better. So did Corbin, but the phasing, how baggish or something, it was palatable.
You know what? It's really weird when you see it like this. It's really fucking weird when you hear it like that. Like, damn, that probably is how we sound to people.
Damn.
Right? Because he's saying like a couple of words. He said like Parkinson's and parties and a couple of real words, but everything else is just like...
Oh, that's what that was? I thought this was some damn different...
You thought it was a different language?
Yeah.
No, this is what English sounds like to non-English speakers.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, see? That shit blows your mind. That shit blows your mind.
Jim was the part that I didn't want to open for, because I mean, I thought the hand sticks was better. So did Corbin, but phasing how the baggage or something, it was palatable. It's stored. Yeah, Corvish. Prison for me at the bottom of those bifence things? Yeah, that's Corvish. I know. Hey, have you seen any of those patterns screened out?
He says somewhere.
Yeah. So it frames in a pearl or something, right? But there's hashpectins that form in the same hinge. Those are tenation, subination, and exination. But the exination ships a little flowerlessly, so you can kind of like barbiton or something. Yeah. I mean, I thought it was ominous, but it shouldn't do that to sevens. Why the sevens? Because sevens are the ones that pillow every time taming with surface enemy. If you don't plug it, you can ask. I mean, plaques and plaques. Those are both undersides.
Plaques and plaques.
Yeah. So are guys in sevens. Sevens have the head cocked back. Yeah, sure, but that was centile. This is markup. Centile with an aim, yeah. Shows up. He's white wiring now.
He's white wiring. Like you guys use so many words that sound just the same.
Something strangely out and it's relatable now. I have actually pamphleted it out like synonymously, but
synonymously.
Don't even get me a minus. The stake is donable. Wilting donable. Really? Yeah. Did you say the hominid? Not at least I don't chime it, but I think I gotta die it out. Wilting. I got an efficiency thing on 4-day and a common harp on Dawn sale.
It sounds like fucking what's the game?
On the patching that it has there's something behind it.
The Sims.
I'll let you die out.
I'll let you die.
Later.
Later. Later.
The say is not accurate.
And over it was draped like 6 or something. I mean, strange me out and it was palatable. It chalked over now. But hey, did you letter after it? What about the
pieces and maybe pieces.
Is he having it older? Older with a leak, yeah. Right, I heard you wouldn't treat that without Parkinson's.
I heard you wouldn't treat that without a Parkinson's.
Right, like what?
I want shortest hair.
C'est un mot ça?
Mais t'es sérieux toi? Moi, t'es connerie.
Harrison's trying to pronounce words in English.
Thorough.
Mais non, mais ça se prononce pas ça.
Oh putain.
Thorough? She said Zorro. That's good.
For roof.
For roof?
Thorough.
What are they trying to?
Thorough.
They did really good.
Attends.
Hedgehog.
C'est une ville ça je pense.
That's a city.
Hedgehog.
A jog.
Hedgehog.
Hedgehog.
Hengeho.
Ah, c'est facile ça. C'est hérisson. Hedgehog.
Hedgehog. On dirait que je parle en allemand. Hedgehog. Squirrel.
They're smart.
Ah oui, c'est chiant ça.
But look, like this says steel, that says metro. So y'all speak a little bit. Like the dude said whatever, Arisa, and then he was like, oh, hedgehog. Skin.
Scarer. Squirrel. Squirrel.
Squirrel.
Je croyais maîtriser, mais pas du tout. Squirrel. C'est un écureuil. Massachusetts.
Oh my god, they're gonna butcher that.
Massachusetts.
Oh wow.
Massachusetts.
Massachusetts. Massachusetts.
Donc ça, c'est l'État, hein.
Massachusetts.
Massachusetts. Attends, c'est dur en fait.
Massachusetts.
He's the smartest one.
Lettuce. Lettuce.
Lettuce.
Moi j'ai envie de le dire à l'italienne parce que j'étais en Erasmus en Italie, mais lettuce.
Lettuce.
Lechuga.
A bit of lettuce. Lettuce.
Romaine lettuce. Bacon lettuce, tomato.
Good job.
Though.
Bacon lettuce, tomato.
Qu'est-ce que c'est que ces mots?
Through.
Through.
No.
Je peux pas faire mieux.
Through. Ça se dit though.
Though.
Jeweler.
C'est chiant ça.
That's a shitty one.
Jeweler.
Jeweler. Jeweler.
Ah, facile ça, facile. Là, le mec c'est
Jeweler.
A jeweler.
Jeweler. Jeweler. Jeweler.
Il faut autant de syllabes.
Why are there so many syllables?
Psychophysical-therapeutic.
That's hard for us to say.
Mais t'es sérieux, toi?
Are you serious?
Bah, t'es connu.
Psychophysics. Psychophysical. J'ai oublié de syllabes, hein.
Therapeutics.
Psychophysical therapeutics. Psychophysical therapeutics.
Pas du tout. C'est pas facile, hein.
Pedestrians being dumb for 10 minutes straight.
Yeah, I think German is, they say, one of the oldest, like a old. Yes, it's really old, yo.
I mean, and like I said, it's so similar to English.
It's the mother of a lot of other languages, yo.
Ruta, Schwebsta, brother, sister, Morgan, morning. It's very similar.
Like
January, January.
What's the old? That's the old Chinese is. What's the Asian language that most people try to learn? Hung or Mandarin. They say that shit old as fuck, yo. And
my cousin's girlfriend is Vietnamese, and she knows, I guess, Vietnamese language, and then English, and then he knows German and Mandarin.
Yeah.
And then they're teaching each other because she don't know the full Mandarin language.
But yeah, Mandarin old as shit, and that fucking dramatic shit, that shit old as fuck, yo.
Goes back to all that Celtic shit with the K's and the knights. Yeah. My English teacher, my senior year, was obsessed with like the Germanic period and like the Anglo-Saxons and like what were the people besides not Shakespeare? I can't think of his name and I'm drawing a blank. Who else do we learn about when we learn about Shakespeare?
Another writer?
Not Beowulf. No, I like stories and stuff, but I can't think of the name.
Umbach, ik was een teacher
Don Quixote
in de Vliegert Middelschule voor 32 jaar. Maar wil ik die maar voor Duitse, Pennsylvanisch Duitse dingen lezen te doen. De eerste is entitled.
That's hilarious.
Try cheesy crispy Ritz cheese crispers. Arnold.
McDonald's.
Are we gonna learn German now? Might have to go to German.
Febreze. Classique.
Oh, Febreze.
No, Febreze.
How do you say it? Febreze? Is that
I never
like
thought
the
of
French way to say it?
Oh, friends that French people and Americans.
Oh, Febreze.
No, Febreze.
How do you say it? Febreze? Is that like the French way to say it?
Quand je bois Febreze, je me sens à l'aise.
Febreze. Febreze.
It's American.
Febreze.
That isn't McDonald's. Is that the next one? You say McDonald's.
McDonald's. McDonald's.
Un McDonald's.
McDonald's.
So you say Mac, or we say Mick.
This is 100% American.
McDonald's.
McDonald's.
There we go.
Did you have McDonald's in France?
Yes.
McDonald's.
This is probably where I mess up.
Perrier.
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 What is it?
It's not Perrier, it's
Perrier.
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 So is this a French
What does it
product?
mean? This is definitely French. Could it be like a girl's name?
It's not pronounced Perrier.
Nike.
Nike?
Nike.
Nike?
They say
You don't say E?
So it does make more sense to say Nike, but it's Nike. It's not Nick.
Nick?
It's not Nick.
Shouldn't it be Nick?
It's definitely an American company.
Nike. Just do it. Neutrogena.
Neutrogena.
Trop. It's definitely not French. G. It's not a pretty enough name to be French.
2, 3, G, J, na. So painful.
Jeans! Levi's!
Levi's.
That's American. That I know.
En Levi Strauss.
What?
Yeah, Levi
French
Strauss.
people
Levi
buy them
Strauss.
in the States because they're so much more expensive in France. Levi's.
There we go. That was so easy.
They say Levi.
I thought you.
It's IKEA.
Levi's are expensive
Ikea.
over there.
IKEA.
IKEA?
These are American imports.
They say IKEA instead of
You know,
IKEA.
it's got that big I, so
Chino is called French.
IKEA.
IKEA. Where does this come from?
I'm so glad I
It's
found this
Swedish,
video. I'm
yeah.
so entertained.
So how do they say it? We need a Swedish person.
Ah, mes préférés adultes. Depuis que j'ai grandi, je pense à la. Ça y est, c'est.
Pedigree. Pedigree?
Petitgré.
Oh shit.
How do you say the R after the G?
Very good.
Pedigree.
Yeah. Very good. She gets it the first try.
Should we get into this?
Yes, you
Will
have
you
made-
actually?
This is so much fun. Better than working.
Spam?
It's dog food. You don't eat that shit.
When the French accent isn't sexy. These are just short
What do you
clips,
want?
That's what I'm playing.
Want a job that I don't hate.
I want a job that I don't hate.
Want to do something that matters. But I
Their core profits are higher than projections. Well, I suppose that just means the people who are doing the projections.
Gentlemen, Jean-Francois Charles is next.
Please, show him in. If he drops an S, I get a point. If he drops an H, you get a point. Hello? Please, sit down. Were there many candidates before you?
There were 2 candidates.
What was your previous job?
I've worked for 3 years in human resource.
Yo, they are so petty at human resource. They already getting him for their H's. That's so petty.
He drops an H, I get a point. He drops an R, you get a
You
point.
get a point. Damn, babe, I'm gonna start making this some broccoli.
I'm hungry, yeah.
Juice, they just say, yo.
Yo, what up, guys? I'm about to pull out from, pull the camera back. I don't know why I said it like that. But, pull out game weak as fuck, son.
Weak as fuck.
And I'm about to pull the camera back and chill for a minute. How long we been here so far, babe?
2 hours and 15 minutes.
Alright, I tried to paint for a good solid hour.
Yeah.
I'm making a time-lapse video right now, so I can probably like edit. I got 3 of them so far. 2 from the guy next to her, and then this one right here. So I might try to edit all 3 of them together and send it to my client, and just to show some progress. And then I sketched out another commission project that a friend of ours has been asking for a minute. When they said, "Oh, it's no rush, but can you get started? No rush,
She's
but
like, can you please ask your man?
can you get started? It's not no hurry, but can you get started?"
She like, I done asked you, I done asked him, I done asked you, I done asked him 2 times again.
So I'm like, okay,
I'm about to
okay.
ask you, sis.
Okay, I get started this weekend. I got you. So I got that started. I want to take a picture of the sketch and send it to that client to, just take some pressure off their mind. Like, okay, this nigga finally got something I can see, Once they give me a deposit, I want to show them something almost immediately, or as fast as humanly possible. Like, as fast as I can show you something. See, I got started.
That's all good. And then when you pull back, I'll probably go down and cook real quick. And then if you want to start up again, I don't know how long you plan on staying in here, but I figured for a while.
Yeah.
It make many things.
Yeah.
Airpin.
I might even grab my sketch pad.
Airbrush.
What makes you happy in life?
We all agree money can buy happiness. After
Looking
school I
at my
went to India.
penis, what?
Looking for happiness. Sitting on the beach in Goa, I realized I have happiness. Of course.
He's like, bing, bing, bing.
Who would be your ideal boss? You know what you want. He appreciates his employee.
Bingo!
Yo, why did you do like that? That was hilarious. That's so messed up.
Consciousness is perhaps the best riddle in nature. Stripped to its core meaning,
Koskabat, or whatever that shit is called.
consciousness is what allows us to be aware both of our surroundings and of our own inner state. But thinking about consciousness has this habit of
I love
taking
all
us
their
round in
videos,
circles.
And that's the thing, I've never watched them, but like I said, the reason I had this up was specifically for my lesson this week with consciousness. My teacher wanted me to watch this video.
Yeah, it popped up in my feed just because I watch a lot of this shit. I like it. Good.
Intuitively know what consciousness is, it's this. It's what you're experiencing here, right now. But once we try to pinpoint just what exactly it is, it leaves us grasping at thin air. And not just us. Philosophers and scientists struggle to define consciousness. Different schools and ideas compete with one another, but no one has come close to figuring it out. It's unsettling to realize that we don't understand what makes us aware of ourselves and the world. In this fuzzy area, consciousness and intelligence are also related, although they are not the same. We'll talk in greater depth about theories of consciousness and intelligence in other videos. Like much of what makes us human, our consciousness is likely to have evolved from less complex forms as a product of evolution by natural selection. It has probably emerged from an immense several hundred million year sequence of countless microsteps that together make up a sort of gradient of consciousness. What was the first step on this path from the non-conscious to the basic consciousness that ultimately led to the convoluted consciousness we humans enjoy today? Take a stone. The consensus is that a stone is not conscious, though not everyone agrees even on this. Some panpsychists claim that a lump of rock may have an inner life. However, there are no real grounds for any such assumption, since stones never show behavior. Their inner life can neither be proven nor disproven. A more common starting point is with living things. A living thing, or a self, is a part of the universe that sustains itself and makes more of its kind. To do so, it needs energy. And this is where an awareness of the world comes in handy. The original function of consciousness was probably to direct a mobile self that was short of energy to a fresh supply of food. On the smaller scales of life, you don't need to be aware to find food. Trichoplax adherens, one of the simplest of all animals, moves around haphazardly. It slows down in the presence of food and speeds up in its absence. This is highly effective and makes the tiny creature spend more time where there's food than where there is not.
Yeah, well, I'll pause it till I come back. For now, you can be entertained by 50 people that show their U.S. state accent.
But everyone's told me I did, so I never really understood.
Christianity from Judaism to Constantine.
Pause it for a second.
You just got a timer, huh? You just knew. What's up? You ready to go outside again? You want grandma's slippers and shit? You want what coffee?
Yeah, I'll take another
Do you
hot
want that
cup.
same flavor?
Yeah, that was good. Nice little hot cup. Yo. Let me almost 2.5 hours already. What's up, though? Good morning. Good Sunday morning. We just in here chilling, man, working on these commissions, you understand me? You know what I'm saying? Just trying to get this art done. Trying to get this artwork done, man. Let me, like I said, let me take a picture of this other one real quick.
Alright. So I can send that to my client so they can see that I got started on that. Alright. Well, I got two whole faces, and all their clothes to go over though. Like that's the only thing. I haven't even started like putting a second layer on their clothes. So what I want to do is I just want to go over their faces. So his face has a second layer of paint. But I didn't do anything to the hair yet. So his hair still needs detailing. So it's just his face, like there's no second layer of paint on his clothes. And you can see like where I just stopped her face. So I still have to do her lips, her chin, and then her chest area here. And then that'll be complete. But I'm not gonna do their hair yet. And then their faces, I haven't done anything to it yet. So my thought process is I'll do the faces and detail the faces. Then I'll do the background. Then I'll do their hair and their clothes. And I think it may work that way. But yeah, you can really tell the difference in just the underpainting, and then once I start adding a detail layer. Yeah, just gotta go step by step, man. But this one is coming along pretty good. Like I said, it's 4 faces. And they're smaller faces, so I gotta use a smaller brush to get the details in there, but I just keep plugging away at it. The next canvas, like you see, it's the face is basically the whole canvas, so the eyes are nice and big, and the lips and nose are big, so it's not like trying to squeeze all these little details in with a small brush. But you definitely got to show me the piece you're working on. Just scrolling through some social media real quick. I had a kind of busy weekend, or a busy Friday. Okay, yeah, there's like literally nothing going on right now. Oh, that's pretty good. Wow, that's a really good painting. Yeah, I was just watching that interview of him with on the drink club or whatever, and he was talking about his haircut. I don't know what to say about your boy Yeezy, yo. This nigga is just like I don't know, my man is just like, woo, buddy. That motherfucker going off the deep end a little bit. I don't even know what to say about none of these cats no more, man. I mean, but there are a lot of cats with the dreads like that now. You know what I'm saying? Motherfucker just got so much money, nigga. I don't give a fuck how my hair looks, and you can't tell me shit about how my hair looks. And so I love that part, but yeah, motherfuckers be rocking all kind of shit now. Hmm. Thank you. Watch out, little nigga. I got something hot in my hands. Catch one of these 30-degree burns.
Let me get my phone so I can play my music. Well, I guess I can play it from the TV.
You good?
I can play it from the TV. Alright, I'm about to start cooking now. I'll be back in like 20 minutes.
Okay.
Come on, boo. Come on.
He paid his respects to Dash? I mean, Dame Dash put him on.
You can't never forget the motherfucker who put you on, yo. Like Dame Dash put that nigga on, and he know that. Everybody know that. That was like one of his first major mentors. Yeah, because everybody was still on that first Rockefeller. Yeah, because Jay-Z, I mean, Kanye was producing on Rockefeller. Now, Dame Dash done helped make 2 billionaires, but he ain't no billionaire though. Yeah, but Beanie Siegel ain't no billionaire. Rock Nation had it going. I mean, Rockefeller had it going for a minute, yo. They had a lot of good acts. And Beanie Siegel put all the state property on. Like they had a lot of good acts for a while, yo. And I'm from Philly, so yeah, I'm from Philly, so I was loving state property. Beanie Siegel, Freeway, Oskino and Sparks, Chris and Neef, PD Crack, goddamn Cassidy. Yo, there's like a lot of fucking Philly niggas from back in the day, yo, and a lot of niggas signed to Rockefeller, yo. Fuck. Like that shit was dope back then, yo. And I was in Philly when that shit was popping, yo. Like when Beanie and Freeway was popular, that's the time I was living in the city, yo. That shit was crunk, yo. Yeah. that was some good times, yo.
Hello, my name is Barbara Quasi Mama here. You know I ain't come to play the GD up, snapping off the.
No, Corrupt from West Coast.
The Libra.
Yeah, I seen Paid in Full. Niggas get shot every day, B. Yeah, the dude got murked, yo, in New York. Motherfucker drive by. Old head was like 55 now.
Let's pray for the people that we just lost.
Yeah, I can't find no music to put on this shit, yeah. That's the only song I can use. No, man, they done shut my channel down so many times for these goddamn copyrights. Yo, now they're trying to get Eminem in there, yo. Oh yeah, Jay-Z got in there. Then they got Eminem in there. And they're trying to get somebody else in there too, yo. did not know that there was I did not know there was lyrics in that music I just put in there. So take that out. I don't like those lyrics in there. Let's go and do this one then. Yeah, just trying to put together this time-lapse video. Alright, and then let me save that. And then I can post that to my that nice elevator music, man. I can post that to my my story, my Instagram reels. And sometimes you gotta edit these things because they don't. No, I guess that looks pretty good, yo. Let's see how this time lapse. It's so hard to see this thing. Let's see something. What if sometimes if the brightness is low? Well, my brightness is all the way down. God damn. It's like you can see it better like that somehow. I like it. So I'll send that to my client so they can see the progress. I gotta watch it one more time for myself. ha. That's supposed to be ironic. He did a time-lapse video fast because time-lapse videos go faster. Oh, it's built right in to the iPhone. So when you go to your you go to your camera, and right here in your camera it has you can't hardly see it, but it actually has a time lapse feature. So it's hard to see, but this one says time lapse, slow motion, video, photo, portrait, and panorama. So yeah, built right into the iPhone is a time lapse recording option. So you just put it on time lapse, boom, hit the button, and so then you're recording your everything in time lapse automatically. And then there's a app, oh not that. There's a this right here is called with the star. It's called iMovie. It's iPhone movie app. So you go to your iPhone movie app and you just hit the plus button, add whatever video you just recorded, and then you can just edit that shit and add music or voiceovers right here in this little app, and then you're done and you save that shit right to your videos. Oh, that one's pretty long. I would have to download a lot of that stuff. Those are old. See, I need to delete some of these older projects. Can I just delete? Oh no. Yeah, but some of these, like, I would have to re-download stuff from the cloud. But this was, I think, the last one I did. Yeah, enjoy. The editing software on the iPhone is just built into it. It's really simple. They try to make it simple to use, and like I said, it's built right into that shit. So. No, why won't it? I don't think it I don't think it's letting me add this entire video clip to my Instagram. I'm trying to see real quick if it's. Yeah, it won't let me add the whole thing to my reel, so I guess I'm going to have to post it like a regular thing, regular post. Add here. I watched the first season. They said they're supposed to come out with a season 2, but I'm not sure if it's out. I haven't seen it yet. Yeah, definitely gotta watch season 2 then, yo. If that shit is out already. What, it was on Amazon Prime or damn, I forgot who was doing that shit, yo. Oh, Hulu, yeah. So my last reel, what I did a time lapse for, yo, that shit got an ass of fucking views. Well, more views than I normally get on shit that I post. So my last reel got like 2,100 views for an art reel. So I think I'm gonna keep putting more like time lapse videos just to get people's attention.
Got my fucking some cameras set up outside the house. Yo, 2 times now somebody done went in our fucking cars, yo. So now, motherfucking live playback. Motherfuckers keep trying to violate, yo. I'm gonna find somebody and beat they fucking ass, yo. Beat the brakes off them bitches, and then I'm gonna call the cops. But yeah, they done went in my cars, they done went in my girl's car, cause we actually got 3 cars, but you can't, the truck is parked behind the Lexus, so there's another car, but you have to walk here to get to that car, so I catch a motherfucker walking through my yard, or walking up on my cars anymore, I'm going out there and beating a nigga ass. They went through my girl's shit last week. I was like, that's a wrap, yo. You just forget to lock your doors one time, yo, motherfuckers are going in your car and shit. But yeah, felt like I had to do that. So now, like I say, motherfucker gotta have goddamn surveillance. I'm gonna get another. I just want to see how easy it was to set up, and it is really easy. So we're gonna get one more for the back porch, so we can watch the entire backyard. And I was thinking one for the front porch, but she was like, you know, why do that? But I'm gonna get one for the front porch too. Fuck that shit, yo. They're pretty fucking cheap, and them shits came like immediately. So yeah, I don't know. I should just order 2 more today. It has motion sensor on it. It has motion sensor and a light. Yep, I got all that shit. Mm-hmm. Yep. And it got the microphone, you can talk through the camera. Soundboard worse. Yeah, we gotta get a soundboard. That's the next thing we need to get, you know.
Now that's the only thing. It says the one I got says indoor outdoor cam. But man, we get a lot of fucking snow, man. We get a lot of snow and a lot of rain. I just hope that shit be able to hold up. Because where I got the first one mounted, there is no covering over it. So outside, like it's really outside in the fucking elements. Like the one I get on the front porch and the back porch, they will be underneath a covering. So it's not like getting directly rained or snowed on, but the one that's out there now, I mean they're relatively cheap. So if it fucks up, which I hope it doesn't, it's like I just learned a lesson and know that it needs a covering. But well, alright, the bundle I bought the first time, it had the camera, the light, and the SIM card, but I can't find that same bundle again, because this one right here just has the camera and the light. Shit. Oh, wait a minute. Why won't it just give me that option of just like... It won't show me that same bundle anymore. They're trying to, I don't know. Let's see. I don't know. I'll just have to order all this shit separate. Like I said, they they have one kit where you get the SD card or one kit where you get the spotlight. But don't you need the SD card and the spotlight? Hmm. All right. Alright. Just ordered 2 more camera setups. My bag that took so long. Alright, breakfast should be done in a minute. I'll get to my painting ready. I guess I won't start painting right there.
In regards to these apartments and more, yeah, you just have to send me your email. That's all I need from you right now. And then we can continue on the application process.
You're not getting nothing at all. Did the computer just die?
Must be. Alright, went into sleep mode.
Sleep mode.
Alright, so a homie just sent me this. William Lane Craig debunks the top atheist arguments. Literally like 1 minute ago. And before I even watched that shit, I sent him Matt Dillahunty and William Lane Craig. Let me see what this guy says right here.
Talk about a couple of those philosophy arguments from 101 that are constantly trotted out. I've had similar experiences. The most common one that I've heard, of course, is the problem of evil, the suggestion that how can God be good if so much evil takes place in the world? The more sophisticated version of the argument to me is not the problem of human evil, which seems pretty easily disposable, but the problem of natural evil things happening to children. A child with cancer. How does a good God rule over a world in which children die?
But this is two religious people, because Ben Shapiro is a devout Jew. And so, anyway, I thought he was going to have William Lane Craig debunking atheism from an atheist. Right. And they may have that, but the first clip is two theists talking about debunking an atheist argument.
Of natural causes in which kids are born with Tay-Sachs, in which horrible things happen to good people.
Yes. In dealing with this problem, I think it's really important that we distinguish between what I call the intellectual problem of evil and the emotional problem of evil. There is no doubt that emotionally, the evil and suffering in the world make it very difficult to believe in God. It's a tremendous emotional obstacle. But intellectually, considered dispassionately as a philosophical problem, it's extraordinarily difficult to show that there's either any inconsistency or improbability between the existence of an all-loving, all-powerful God and the evil and suffering in the world. The atheist would have to show that it is either impossible or improbable that God has morally sufficient reasons for permitting the natural and moral evil in the world. And how can he possibly show that? We're simply not in a position to make those kind of probability judgments with any confidence. And so I think that the problem of evil, as difficult as it may be emotionally, intellectually, it lays a burden of proof on the shoulders of the atheist, which is so heavy that it has proved to be unsustainable.
And these days, the other argument that is brought up in enormous amounts is the supposed backwardness of the Bible itself, biblical morality. This happens largely with regard to,
I was waiting for somebody to be like,
homosexual marriage.
I'm waiting for that comment.
Brought up with regard to abortion, which I think is more, again, easily disposable to make a solid secular argument in favor of protection of human life. But homosexual marriage is one that most often comes up. We also hear arguments that the Bible permits slavery. So if the Bible is so wonderful, then why are there all these weird sections of the Bible where it talks about wiping peoples from the earth, where it talks about enslaving other human beings? Some things that we would certainly consider moral evils today are contemplated by the Bible and not banned by the Bible. So why is that?
Well, let me address
the evolution of morality
of Adam and Eve.
Yeah, it's just them. It's Ben Shapiro talking to this guy. But William Lane Craig won't talk to a fucking atheist, yo.
Alex in Aberdeen.
Hello. I wasn't expecting to be on so soon.
Oh, well, all right. You need another minute?
No, I'm fine.
Thanks for waiting.
I mainly just wanted to rant about William Lane Craig and how kind of unimpressive I find that he is and how surprised I am that people don't do better against him. I mean, it kind of seems like all the relatively smart Christians on YouTube actually reference him quite a bit, and I just don't understand it.
Well, one thing is you're getting your information from YouTube.
Are there actually theologians that are held in higher esteem than him by apologists?
By apologists? I don't know. He might be at or near the pinnacle
I think Plantinga is highly thought of.
Yeah, but he's so cerebral and useless that the average person in the pew is not going to understand what Plantinga has to say. I think Craig is probably one of the most revered. I'm with you. I don't find his arguments or claims particularly impressive, but I haven't seen enough debates with him. And the one problem with debates is that depending on who you talk to, who won, may be a little different.
Well, this is debating. I think is really it's theater. You know, when you get right down to it, it's style points and performance when you get right down to it. And I don't know of any case where a theist and an atheist have debated publicly. And usually what happens, you get the audience files in, and you have atheists on one side of the hall and theists on the other, and everyone pretty much goes out, thinking the same thing they thought and believing whatever they believed when they walked in. Except usually what you get in these cases is the theist. Quite often correctly crowing that he won the debate simply because a lot of these folks, they're public speakers. Many of them are pastors. They do this for a living. And so you can get up there and sound really quite authoritative while spouting rubbish, and a lot of people will flock to you and be impressed by you.
It definitely seems like they kind of have a technique where both sides pretty much just kind of shoot out their spiel and kind of ignore the other guy, except a few minimal side points.
Yeah, you know why? Because, and this is not me just being funny to pick on them. A creationist can say more wrong things in 30 seconds than anybody else on the planet, and an accurate response to those statements might take 10 minutes or more, and that's just to barely scratch the surface.
Oh, that definitely seems to be the case with William Lane Craig, because he just totally spews out rapid fire, flim flam man style.
Yeah.
This that public speaking
collage of crap.
Yeah, and they can also just flat out lie because there's so much information. There's nobody fact checking, so they can get up there and, for example, they're talking about the historicity of Jesus. It can be, well, I'm sure my opponent is going to have lots of things to tell you about, but there's simply no way that we can overcome it. The Bible is the most accurately documented book of all time. We have more copies of it than we have anything else. And we have more evidence for the existence of Jesus than we have for anything else. And we have more of this and more of that and this and that and this and that. And these all compare, and these are accurate, and there's only this many potential discrepancies, which are scribal discrepancies, and rattle all that off. Well, what are you going to do when you get up there? Because he didn't offer any evidence. He offered nothing but a rapid-fire list of assertions. He didn't back any of it up. It's one of the reasons why people have asked, Matt, have you debated, or are you interested in debate? Yeah, I'll do it. I have interest in that. But I have much more interest in discussion and informal debate, because I'm not concerned about winning the judges' vote or even finding out whose mind was changed, or who won by who changed the most minds out there. I just want to get the information out and change or correct or improve as many minds as we can, either way. So my on the show, that one of the benefits is that the second somebody says something that's wrong, I don't have to let them continue that list of assertions of this and this and this and this. I can, bam, you're on hold. No, please justify what you're saying. You can't do that in most of the debates.
Yeah. Right, because a forensic debate has a formal structure.
Yeah.
And we have noticed, and we get this in email a lot, and down the years doing the television show, what theists like to do is exactly what Matt just said. They will bring this double armload of crap and dump it all in front of the skeptic, and the skeptic is expected to be the one to sort through it and deal with it piece by piece by piece by piece.
Well, I've definitely been impressed with Craig's blind them with bullshit flim flam man style, where he just rapid fire spews out
Yeah, exactly. And he has
a name,
a
sentence, and then moves on. And
And he has it down to a science, because he's just, or down to an art, you might say, just because he does it for a living. I mean, this is what the man does. He has all that experience public speaking, so he's fantastic at that, and he can just win on the style points.
And there are Craig devotees who've tried calling into the show. I mean, and they'll be like, what about Tertullian and Tacitus and Josephus and rattle off a whole bunch of stuff. And fortunately, I don't have to take it.
Yeah.
I can actually say, okay, let's go. Let's do this point by point. Let's justify what you're saying. Yeah, and that's why what we try to do is, policy that you started up was instead of just if a theist wants to call the program or wants to email us at the TV show address, just give us your best shot. Give us the best argument you have. Tell us exactly what you believe, why you believe it. Bring your A game and leave the rest at home. Just give us the one thing that if you had to pare it all down, that you think justifies belief in God. Just give us that. And I think I can say, almost without fail, if the conversation is allowed to proceed, at some point, if it's allowed to proceed to the point where they either hang up or admit it, what they will end up admitting is that they have a faith-based position that they can't justify to somebody else. They feel justified in it, but they can't justify it to somebody else. Boy, that doesn't make for very good debate. Yeah. And those are the honest ones. Yeah. I mean, we've had situations like that, but Tracy and I were duking it out with a woman who emailed us at one point. And this lady was immediately wanting to just dump the double arm load. And I said, no, stop. Just give us the one thing. Give us the best argument you have. And so she presented it, right? I think her thing was near-death experiences. Okay. So I presented the, standard refutation for the near-death experience. And what did she do? She's like, she did the usual thing of, okay, well, that didn't work. Here's my next thing. Yeah. And I said, no, I told you to bring the best thing you have. Now, if the best thing you have didn't work, you think the second best thing you have is going to work? So only if the second, third, fourth, and fifth all work, which is unlikely. So that's I'm similarly.
It's kind of disappointing because I try, expose myself to theistic arguments, hoping that they'll have something that's at least thought provoking. And I'm kind of just shocked by how really pathetic his are. I mean, he does the argument for morality, which is just one of the weakest theistic arguments, and then he just turns it into an argument from consequences midway through. I mean, just so many examples like that.
And he's in love with Kalam.
Yeah, pretty much the conflating, because the universe in its current form had a beginning, the universe had a beginning, and just excluding the possibility that the universe came from some sort of pre-existing.
Yeah, I am similarly unimpressed with Craig, and on the subject that you mentioned, or somebody mentioned, or maybe it was Martin, of doing the debate and then running around claiming victory. That's even happened on this show, where we had an apologist on who we had an extensive debate that most people. 2/3 of the episode.
The Netflix one that makes everyone groan.
And he asks a question, of if physical/conceptual is not a true dichotomy, then what's the third option? And made a big deal out of the fact that I couldn't actually label a third option, and then runs around claiming victory in the debate the next day on his forum. Meanwhile, when asked whether his God was physical or conceptual, Slick's answer was exactly the same as mine, neither, thereby admitting that it wasn't a true dichotomy. And the answer was there all the time in the name of the argument, which is transcendent. But anyway, is that all you had, was to
that's
complain about Alex, or to complain about William Lane Craig? Yeah. I don't know. I'd love to find somebody.
Well, I mean, is there anyone you can actually recommend that makes kind of an interesting argument for theism, or is there just pretty much nothing out there?
I'm not aware of anything. If there was something out there, I'd be. It depends on how you want to define it.
Well, I mean, just at least thought-provoking, because I mean, I don't really expect to be converted, but I expect to at least be challenged.
Yeah. Well. I mean, it depends on if you're defining interesting as who is more fun to pick through and refute. I guess that's it's like you're scratching your chins. Yeah, I've been asked before if there was any particular theist that I'd recommend, or apologist that I'd recommend.
Why are you only starting early?
I can't, because every time I've gotten to the point where I thought, okay, this is the guy. So,
it's Sunday.
For example, when I was still a believer, I was a fan of Josh McDowell.
Yeah. Sunday, motherfuckers just wake up 6:30 in the morning like, yo, check out this William Lane Craig debunks atheist argument. I'm like, bro.
Josh McDowell is, and how
calm down, man.
Evidence and argument are laughable. The thing is that they're presented as a preaching to the choir preaching to the uneducated, credulous, uninterested in learning about reality choir. And what it does is it bolsters up their preconceptions. And I was part of that choir. I believed this. I open up evidence. Look, here is all of this evidence which justifies what I already believe. Wow, this is cool. I am justified in my beliefs. And then you trudge off down the line. And there's nothing I like more than have somebody call in who has had their faith bolstered by Comfort or McDowell or Strobel or Craig, and to come on and to present their favorite argument, only to get the wake-up call of a lifetime. Because I know when the call's done, not only have other people benefited, but that individual is going to have to go back and start rereading and starting to find, wait, what's the next thing? Somehow he got off script on me. I'm not even sure what happened. He didn't say yes when he was supposed to.
Yeah. And by the same
I don't find any of them impressive.
Yeah, I didn't have quite the fundamentalist background you had. I had more of a mainstream Christian background. You really studied it.
You were never a true Christian.
Yeah, that's well.
None of us were, according to them.
And you know what? You're absolutely right. I agree.
Actually, you know what? You're absolutely right, because you're talking about the people that you talk to these days say they believe this, that, and the other, and they don't really. I honestly don't really think I ever did. Even in my church-going youth, part of the youth choir days, I really don't think I ever genuinely did. It was part of that. It was fitting in with the family.
Not tomorrow, but next Monday.
But likewise, I've read popular Christian apologists. Guys like D. James Kennedy and people like that. I haven't gone on to study the more, advanced academic theologians because, quite frankly,
might come early and just get over it early.
Doesn't really know what those people have to say either, and doesn't particularly care. One of the criticisms that was leveled at Dawkins when the God Delusion came out was that, he's theologically unsophisticated. He doesn't understand all the sophisticated theology that the sophisticated theologians and academia understand. And it's like, that was just such an irrelevant criticism to bring up, and P.C. Myers mocked it, I think, very well, because, look, you go to any church in America, right, and, Joe and Jill Sixpack, sitting in the pews, right, every Sunday, they don't understand the sophisticated theology, and they don't care. They're there to get comfort. They're there to hear about Sky Daddy, who's out there looking after them when they're worried about getting their, mortgage, the problems that they may be having with their jobs or this, that, or the other thing. They're just looking for a security blanket. And they don't really care about
some of the more considered elite theologians are pretty much ones that believe in something like the foundation of all being, or God as just a really neat concept.
Yeah, I know, and that is not what your average rank and file Christian believes in this country. They just don't care. The abstruse God of the theologians just doesn't play anywhere but in the mind of the theologians.
The so-called sophisticated arguments are anything but. Mythbusters have demonstrated that you can, in fact, shine a turd. That is roughly what they're attempting to do.
What did they use? I didn't see that episode.
You'll have to go back and you'll have to look.
They actually shown a turd.
Yes.
Like they buffed it and polished it and did.
Oh yes.
Oh nice.
And Adam was very proud.
I bet they froze it first.
You have to watch the episode. And actually, what the point was that this is what they're attempting to do. Is just that they don't know what they're doing. You can dress something up. You can dress
pretty
up
much saying we want to believe in God, but we just don't want all the messy stuff involved with believing in God. So we're just going to say we believe in God, even if it's just a concept.
They're trying to dress up a pig, and while that can be amusing on occasion, it doesn't make it somebody you want to take to the prom.
But what's fun when you read popular apologists like Strobel, like Lord Ray Comfort, like D. James Kennedy, and you look at these books and you look at just how transparently lame, the arguments are, and what they think passes for arguments in these books. And honestly, like a juvenile level of cognition compared to what you get from, Dennett, Hitchens, Dawkins, the rest. It's, and understanding that these arguments are completely bought by the target audience. The readers of these books think it's great. You're dealing with people who aren't really coming to the thing with a great deal of intellectual muscle. They're looking for the emotional comfort in the book.
It's just kind of sad. I mean, I was a fundamentalist. I pretty much became an atheist because I wanted to challenge my beliefs, and it kind of seems now, as an atheist, I still try and challenge my beliefs and concepts, and they just aren't stepping up to the plate.
That's what happens the closer you get to being right. Thanks a lot, Alex. I appreciate the call.
Thank you for your time.
Want to see what Entyvio can mean for your condition? Ask your doctor for more information.
Yo, I'm so dead.
What's that?
She was showing him with the bottle how a feminine product works, and he's like, and what it do? She was like, it expands. And then she pulled it out to show him what it looks like after, and he was like, oh my god. Like, have you never had a girlfriend before?
Why is it so hard for him to put the shit in there?
I think he's trying not to lose the string. That's why I was like, why didn't he already push the top part out? He got an eye patch. That's why it's so funny. And what y'all do? He was over it. Like, you've never had a girlfriend before?
Oh my goodness. Bruh.
Then bring your ass in here and sit down. Ooh. Moving too slow, my bad. Go sit down.
You're a motherfucking legend, you know that, right?
You know who that was?
Who?
The Brittany Renner girl.
Mm-mm.
Everybody's mad at her because she was like plotting on like the young football player or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
So, J. Cole said, I'm gonna keep it real short with you, bitch. You know you motherfucking legend, right? Yeah, thanks.
That was her coming at J. Cole?
To get an interview for Rolling Loud.
Oh, wow.
He did look at her for a second like, damn, bitch, you so fine. He was like, what's up, Rolling Loud? That's it. He also looked at her like, bitch, I ain't getting caught up with you. He literally put his arm around her shoulder like, look, I'm doing it like this. I got a wife at home. She said, nice to meet you. He was like, cool. He literally walked right past her and he was like, oh, it's Rolling Loud. What's up, Rolling Loud? Alright, see ya. Damn, babe, they got these shoes in black too, and now I kind of like these black and gray ones, black and brown. The Van boots.
Or damn.
I don't really like the all black ones. Man's trying to get all the money. All the money.
I mean, when Nike started making boots, they was like, what the fuck are those?
What are those? Right?
Nike boots, nigga. Nike boots.
I like these, too. Now I'm torn.
What you thought, yeah?
I'm torn between the bright red and those. Those will go with more.
Yeah.
I'm so dead. It was hilarious because Courtney always deemed like the serious sister that needs to loosen the fuck up. So Kim was pretending to be Courtney and she says, order in the Courtney. I didn't know this bitch was funny.
That's really Kim?
Mm-hmm.
What show is this?
Courtney's pretending to be Kim. I don't know who she's supposed to be. They're all pretending to be somebody. I don't know if this was on their show or what. Kendall is the unproblematic one. Ooh. Who's guilty? I don't care. You did.
I got Travis Barker on there. Oh my god.
He's dating the sister.
Really?
Courtney.
Damn, Barker.
The one that was with Scott. This is.
I don't know who that is.
So I don't keep up with them, but you know Kim Kanye. Rob is the brother. He got a baby by Black China. Who used to date Tyga. Who used to date Kylie. And Kim dates Kanye, who used to date Amber Rose. That's why I just can't with the industry. I'm like, huh? But yeah, Courtney and Travis, Kim and Kanye, and Chloe was with Lamar Odom, the basketball player. I can't keep up either. Even the mom, she was with Robert Kardashian. Pretty sure she smashed OJ, but she did hate him. And then you were with Bruce in the courtroom while your ex-husband was defending OJ for the death of your best friend. Like, that shit is just weird to me. You're so stupid. You're supposed to be Kanye. Yo, they got him to do Machine Gun Kelly. This had to be on SNL. Rehab Barbie. Oh my god, he just looked her like a dog.
Yeah, that's SNL.
Where's everybody going? It was on Hulu.
That's why, yo, Keenan been on TV since he been a kid, yo. He don't get no respect, yo, like he deserves. This motherfucker been funny forever, yo. How you been funny since a kid, yo?
Funny since a kid, and well, I always.
And still unproblematic, like the
unproblematic.
the industry never really got to this dude, yo. You don't know Nothing about him really.
Never
Like,
seen him like spazzing out.
nope.
No mental breakdown. Yo, that shit was funny though. I've never seen the Kardashians like in a funny way, but that shit was hilarious. I know they had help, but that shit was good from Kim Kardashian. Everybody else was actors, but her and her mom were really on there. And the guy looked just like Travis Barker. Like, what are you doing? OG said, where's everybody going?
Why don't y'all invite me to anything anymore?
We don't fuck with you.
Alright, I'm get to a good stopping point.
Back up off me. Back up off of me. Woo-hoo.
Maybe I can soften this a little bit.
Kind of sleepy.
Yeah. I'm trying to get some more of that laundry done real quick. Alright, I'm liking that. I feel good enough for right now. Got 2 faces done. I got a little bit more to do on her neck and her chest, but that won't take a couple birthdays.
Please get out. Get out. Get out. Get out. Can't even make eye contact and look at her. She don't look at me.
Made some pretty good progress this month. Got another face with the second layer of paint. Like I said, I'm saving their hair until I get the background done because I want the background to overlap on the fresh hair. So do the background first, then do the hair. Probably take a break for a couple hours. I got some other projects I'm working on too, so I try to do a little bit on that drawing. And then maybe later this afternoon or this evening I'll come back up here and I'll try to start working on detailing the next face in this piece right here. Yo, thanks for kicking it with me in the studio. Catch you next time. Peace.